Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Melfuzz TV. I am Peter, and I'm joined as always by Matt.
I'm back!
Yes, my ears can attest to that.
Yes,
Matt,
yes, he's loud as well.
Matt's back. Also,
I have a lot to make up for.
Also, here's our for our videos, the wonderful overlay. Very pretty, very nice, so a big part of the show. So that's here, that's really nice. Matt's got a new hat. I'm happy to have that on the show. Nightwing hat.
That's pretty cool.
And then how many more things can I fit in before I get to Connor?
So this Nightwing hat, I was worried I wasn't going to be able to buy it because there's a new ride at Six Flags, and it puts you in the Hall of Justice, and then you leave, and you're like in the Hall of Justice's gift shop, and then all sorts of DC merch there. I was like, that's a cool hat, but I don't want to carry it around all day because I'm already wearing a hat.
Because you're Matt, you're always wearing a goddamn hat.
Oh, always. So, you know, unless I'm at work, and then I can't wear a hat, and it makes me mad. But luckily, I ended up finding it in the front of the park, so I didn't have to walk all the way back around. Magic Mountain is set up not like a great theme park where it's easily accessible from all points.
Can I just say that
Sorry,
was...
it's a hat. Why would you not just carry it?
Because I had to carry water in my backpack. I did not have room for a hat.
It's a backpack. I'm sure you get room for... Do you know what? Can I just say how much of a first world problem this is? I didn't want to carry the hat, but luckily it was on sale at the exit as well, so I was able to just buy it at the exit.
Huh? Well, no, you guys don't understand. Magic Mountain gets the name because it is... They did not level this thing. Like, they just built the roller coasters around the mountain. So if you want to get to the back of the park, you can either go up and over the mountain, or you can go around, which takes about 15 minutes. And by 6 o'clock, park's closing, which that pissed me off. Didn't know that till I got there. Didn't have time to run all the way back to the Hall of Justice. That said, the new Justice League ride, it's like a simulator where you shoot at the bad guys, right? Because you're helping Cyborg. And I placed in the top 10% of all time. That's pretty cool.
You don't even play video games. How you placing at 10%?
Hey man, people aren't as good as me. So I don't tell you.
that show started with a weird direction I was not anticipating. Oh, Connor's here, by the way.
That's because you didn't want to introduce Connor.
I don't even know why you bothered introducing me after that. So it doesn't matter if I'm here or not. That's the benchmark now.
It's just because you complained last week that you were still last billed even though Matt wasn't here, so I thought I'd really milk it this week.
Yeah. Oh, also there's a Joker and Cyborg animatronic on this ride, which is weird. That the first two animatronics at a theme park that are DC related are Joker and Cyborg.
I mean, I get Joker. I mean, I know he's a villain, but he's popular enough that I get him being.
Yeah.
Cyborg's just maybe I feel like it's easier if it's not quite as good because they go, well, he's robotic, it's fine.
He's mostly metal. There's only a small part of the face that has to look good. The rest of it can just look metal.
And in our tradition here on the show about Cyborg, he stopped working halfway through. I was just like, this is great.
Okay,
this is on brand.
Alright, so we talk about DC Comics. Coming up on this week's show in terms of books, we have Raven the Bold, Batman and Wonder Woman #1, we have Batman 41, Superman 41, Justice League 39, Green Lanterns 41, Nightwing 39, Batwoman 12, Super Sons 13, Aquaman 33, and Damage #2. I did say last time I'd probably get to Batman and the Signal #2. That did not happen. Two reasons. One, it was a busy week. That was a lot of books I just read. So I already had a lot of books. And then on top of that, I kept putting it off because it was obviously going to be the Wordy book. And then time ran out. And
You're a lot like Scott Snyder. You keep saying you're going to get to Duke, and then you never do.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, what I'm hoping he'll actually get to at some point is American Vampire. But more on that another time. And Witches as well.
Space last time I checked. That was the last time I read American Vampire. Yeah. So... weird.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily against that concept, but that's the books that are coming up this week. We do have some news though, because we had solicits this week, and there was a lot of juicy little tidbits that came out of this solicits because times are changing. Times are changing, and it's kind of weird looking back how long Rebirth kept a kind of like mostly what it started with and just kept going with that. Like, you know, changes were going to come. Obviously, Rucka left Wonder Woman, that was sort of the big one, and one or two little books got cancelled, but it's mostly been pretty consistent. And then, you know, Seeley and Humphries kind of swapped books not too long ago, but mostly it's been kind of the same. So we're getting our first big creative change. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of stuff happening post No Justice. Obviously, Bendis is taking the Superman books. We're getting some new Justice League books, obviously, after No Justice, and possibly new Teen Titan books as well. Either they're going to have new creators, or they'll maybe be renamed with new numbers or whatever. We're not sure what yet. Presumably, we'll find out maybe next month in the solicits, or maybe the following month. But there's a lot of things that maybe are hinting that there's maybe more books that are either being absorbed by other things, or relaunching after, or they're getting new creative teams, and so on and so forth. A lot of things this week. I left the biggest thing to the end, by the way, before people jump in and go, why are we not talking about that first? It's the bigger talking points at the end. I'm building up to it. So, first thing, this is one of the smaller things, but worth mentioning. You know how we're getting new challengers? You know, the Scott Snyder New Age of DC Heroes book? That's coming obviously quite late. It's not starting until May, hence why it's in the solicits. The big change with that is that it's no longer an ongoing. It will now be a 6-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
And it's got a co-writer. It'll be co-written by Aaron Gillespie. So,
not surprised.
I mean, at least it's happening now. Like, okay, it's getting solicited that way, I guess.
Oh, sure. I mean,
how long until the Immortal Man gets announced that it's only an 8-issue mini?
Oh, no, is that the one that Jim Lee's on?
Yeah.
He's only doing the first issue.
Yeah, yeah, he's jumping ahead. That. I had this in the list here. Yes, Immortal Man issue 2 already has a new artist. Ryan Benjamin's doing the art for issue 2.
You know, I didn't even know that. I wasn't trying to sabotage. I was just trying to make a Jim always late joke.
He already made the joke for you. He left the book after one issue. He's done it.
Yeah.
As far as I mean, honestly, it's kind of weird how this New Age of Heroes. They made a big splash when they announced it, and like so many of the artists are leaving after 3 or 4 issues. In Jim Lee's case, only one. And now one of the bigger ones, because it had Scott Snyder on it, is now just a miniseries. So it's kind of odd how it's being kind of, you know, truncated and changed as we've actually started to get the books. But hey, I mean, obviously we'll still try it and we'll see how it goes.
I think the biggest thing we'll get out of that is the Terrifics, because it's Lemire and it seems like flagship. But come a year from now, we might not even associate it with the New Age DC Heroes.
Yeah, it'll just be another book. It'll just be one of the DC books.
Book. I don't see a lot of these other ones just sticking around.
Honestly, I feel like they're all going to be minis, or more likely maxis, 12 issues, and that'll be it.
Joe, I wonder if this is almost an intentional thing. Maybe they didn't have all the No Justice and like Bendis Superman stuff planned when they first, because they announced this a long time ago. This was like back in like August, the first, something like that.
Yeah, it was right as Metal was starting, because this was supposed to be the reverb from Metal. So without a doubt, I feel like Bendis and No Justice came in and kind of changed the direction, not of Metal per se, but like
just these, because specifically DC. Snyder's book becoming a mini. I feel like, well, maybe they didn't know at the time that. I mean, he says for a long time that he's known he's going to be on Justice League, post Metal. But I wonder if when they actually solidified the plans, you're going to be doing this much after we're done with Metal. It's like, oh shit, okay, that's pared down a little bit the other stuff that I was going to do. So
makes sense.
But hey, so that's the thing. Definitely worth mentioning. Here's a relatively big thing. Tyrion IV has officially ended his run in Detective Comics. Issue 981 will be the final part of Batman Eternal, his final arc on the book, and it'll be his send-off. So
sad times.
Yeah, it's sad because obviously we've been enjoying it, and he's been real good. I kind of wanted to see him take it to 1,000 at this point.
Yeah, he's only 19 away from 1,000. I mean, obviously, he's ending on his terms, really, because it's the end of his story. So it's not like he's been like shoved off.
Oh, definitely. And he's spoken a bit on. He came back to Twitter for this week because obviously he left a while ago when some stuff happened and he kind of got sick of it. But he came back and he was talking about how this is it. He's actually stepping away from Gotham as a whole for a while. Because that's mostly where he's been for most of his DC career, and he's going he's stepping away from that entirely and doing something new.
Yeah, Matt's wife got a little cameo there on the show. You had a little whisper coming from the side.
Yeah, well, it's because my dog did something bad when we had started recording, and I didn't know. So she came to yell at me. I'm like, what are you...
So you got saved by the recording light.
Yeah.
That's weird. You had a red light on the door. So this, a proper recording studio.
Yeah, but it wouldn't stop.
But no, let's be honest though. When I just want a quiet time, I just turn on that light.
Yeah. Matt, you've been doing a lot of recording recently. What's going on? Like this is like 5 hours a day. Oh well, we're really trying hard. And I just hope she never actually looks at the channel and sees how much you're actually on.
No, the fact that we don't cover anything Disney means she'll never find this. That's fine.
That's fair. That's fair. It's fair. I've actually heard people on podcasts talk about proposing to the girlfriend, and I'm like, wait, you're a podcast. This is like so super public. He's like, she'll never watch this. It's fine. I'm like, I know, but you're taking a bit of a risk here.
No, it's true. I could say anything. It's like, nah, she's never gonna watch it.
Where was it? Tyrion. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, it's the end of his run. We're sad he's leaving, but it's been his run. He's ended it on his terms. He's ending his story. So I can't be that upset. Like obviously, it's not disappointing. It's bittersweet because it's an ending.
As a comic fan, I hate change. So.
Obviously, the rumours right now are so far have been that Tomasi is the likely person taking over Detective. So we'll see if that pans out. We'll should find out next month with Solicits.
Yeah, I expect us to find out before Solicits, maybe, for a bunch of these. Considering there's so much
sure.
shifted.
When I say Solicits, what I really mean is the week up to Solicits, they'll announce things individually, but they'll do it for Solicits coming out.
Well, because there's so much, it might be over like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Let's just hope he doesn't take the Dark Knights on a field trip to a museum.
What I like though is that if he did, I say it was the exact same thing, but Damien was there, he would just like say, "Hey, shut up! This is boring." He'd be the voice of reason for us at the scene.
Yeah,
that'd be my one hope for that. But so that's the thing. So Tyrion's leaving, and he's working on a Justice League book, and we'll see if he's working on anything else as well post that. But hey, so Detective Comics 981's the end of Tynion's run. So we already talked about Immortal Men. Next up, minor point, but I wanted to mention it, that James Robinson is starting a new arc of Wonder Woman in May. So he's not even close to done.
Okay, cool.
So,
yeah, and this is picking up stuff from Metal, right?
Yeah, it said it was spinning out of Metal, which I thought was funny because we've already had stuff in the book that's referenced that it's after Metal, but whatever.
Yeah, this is more directly okay, plot stuff.
Yeah, because Baby Darkseid's been captured and grown all up already. But I wanted to mention it.
Last week I wasn't here to talk about how they teased Jason's death, and I got so excited, and they couldn't even pull the trigger on that. So.
Actually, that reminds me. Actually, we got a comment asking for Matt to point out deep lore stuff that he found in Wild Hunt. If we got time at the end, maybe Matt can give us some.
I'm gonna have to retouch on that. But, yeah, there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. We were. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion, of course. There's a lot of time spent being confused last week.
I wrote that on my way. I read that on my way on vacation, and it took me probably an extra half hour because trying to process it while reading in a car, I was starting to get a little bit nauseous, but I couldn't tell if it was the high concept or the motion. So, yeah, I took my time.
Little column A, little column B, perhaps. So that's the thing. Birds of Prey, or Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, is cancelled with issue 22, which is the May issue. It's one of the lower selling books, so it's not super surprising. I think it's a perfectly enjoyable book, but I'm not mourning its loss either. So, like, it's fine. So worth.
Go on, I was going to say, they clearly want the Bensons to stick around.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, the Bensons have already said on Twitter that they've got their next project planned. And on top of that, of course, they are writing the Green Arrow Annual Issue 2, which is coming out in May. Which, I think it's actually kind of funny that the main book has got fill-ins for that month, but there's an annual that month as well. That's just kind of weird to me.
I think the annual's tying into No Justice, I believe.
It is, yeah, it's a No Justice tie-in. Also that month, in terms of annuals, we have Wonder Woman Annual number 2, which is by Robinson, so that's just a regular writer. And we have a Green Lantern's Annual, which is not by Seeley, it's by Andy Diggle. But the part that really stuck out to me was art by Jean Ferreira on that annual.
It's not.
It's not?
He tweeted out he's only doing the cover.
It said in the solicit.
Man.
Damn it.
I know it's in the solicit, but he tweeted out saying, "Hey, it's not him. They've never approached him about this. It's a mistake."
That's disappointing. That was why I was excited for that, but okay.
I don't know. I'm excited. I like Diggle.
Oh, I mean, Diggle's fine,
like-
but I was excited for Green Lantern art, but okay.
Well, yeah, that's a shame, but
Damn it.
I'm intrigued to see Diggle's back in because obviously that bridge got burnt during the New 52 when he did that Action Comics to like 3 issues. Yeah, it was that, and then it all went to hell, and that was the last we saw of him.
Green Arrow Year One is like one of my favorite comic stories of all time.
Oh, it's pretty great.
So that's gotten a free pass for Diggle. So
it's nice to see him back. Hopefully that leads to other stuff. Maybe he'll be on like one of the new books or something. And as we said, the Bensons have hinted that they've already got the next main book lined up for after, presumably after No Justice, which is cool. So that's at least one thing that has to be announced sometime soon. So that's the annuals in May, because May's a week 5, obviously.
On that, it's interesting that the Man of Steel mini from Bender that was supposed to start at the end of May.
Why is it with you two today? I've got that in the list. I'm getting to it.
That's a segue.
He said the big stuff again. Mine was an accident.
That's not the big stuff. I'm saying it's not there. That can't be the big stuff.
Think for yourself. That's not the big stuff.
Alright, okay, since we skipped ahead, my order's shambled twice now. Man of Steel #1, which was announced as May 30th, is not in the solicits. My guess here is that because it's right at the end of May, they're actually just going to put it in the June solicits with the rest of the issues. That's my guess just now. Oh, that's a big deal.
Usually I would say I wouldn't have thought that. Usually I'd go, especially with the annuals there, I'd go, no, that's weird. But Tomasi tweeted that, he's got a Super Sons Dynamo special coming which is
also not in the solicits.
Which is also not there, but it will be in the June solicits for whatever reason. So it will probably be in there.
So yeah, that's a good point. So and also they tweeted out this week all 6 covers for Man of Steel in like a sort of connected panoramic kind of view. So you can have a look at those. So that's pretty cool. Which you mentioned Super Sons. Super Sons is also ending, seemingly. It was confirmed, and Tomasi tweeted about it. He did say, though, that he's not done with those characters, that there's actually more already planned, and that's not just the one-shot. The one-shot's coming in May, which he's obviously, he tweeted out as a sort of, hey, everyone, cheer up, this is happening. But he said that there is plans for those boys in the future with him, so there's more things happening, but that also leads into other things that are missing in the solicits. Supergirl was just absent in the solicits, and then it was confirmed on Twitter within a day or two that April's issue is the last issue of that series. Supergirl is also done, which is greatly disappointing to me. I really like that book. I think it's been really finding its feet. Yeah, it's been really finding its feet in the last arc or so.
I think that's particularly notable because DC rarely does that, where it'll cancel without the warning. Usually you'll get the final issue text on the solicit.
Which leads me to think it was a decision that was only just made in the last month or so.
Yep, and then Bendis addressed that, saying that Kara has a huge role.
She's in one of the covers
his Superman story
for Man of Steel. She's in one of the covers, and he said that she's a huge role in his... Because that was my instant thought. When I saw it was cancelled, I was like, that's kind of weird. And my first thought was, well, I wonder if... Because this is the thing. Super Sons is cancelled. Supergirl is cancelled. The only Superman book that's still there that isn't a Bendis book is New Superman, which is so separate, of course, and obviously I'm glad because I love that book. And I'm wondering if the reason why these are all ending is because they're all kind of being rolled into this big Superman relaunch where they're all going to be part of a new line once, that all kicks off. Well, that means she has her own book come, July or whatever, or she's just part of the Action Comics, I don't know. But I'm glad she's still going to be around, obviously. I'd be pissed if she wasn't.
Which makes me wonder if he's making a change to the status quo of her, like if it's more classic and not so much DEO involved TV show version.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to retcon what she's got right now, but I think, he might change her, her status quo is a good way of putting it, where she's maybe moved elsewhere or aged up a little bit.
Yeah, I can see her being aged up. That was my first thought, because that's, she's typically a little bit older than what we've got now.
Yeah, she's like 17 now.
Because you have, you look over at the Bat family and you have a whole range of them, and right now it just feels like you have Keenan, who's young, who's kind of on the outskirts.
It'd probably be a good time to age John up as well a little bit. Not by much. I'm just thinking a couple of years. Like maybe make him Teen Titans age.
Make him an actual teen. Yeah. Make him the same age as Damien. You know.
Well, not the same. Have Damien age proportionately.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. Like, put them so you can't. You know. But yeah. So it makes sense to make Kara a little bit older, maybe college age. So you know you have the Batgirl kind of Nightwing vibe out of her.
Yeah, give her that. If you make John 13, because it's been a couple of years since Rebirth started, so if they wanted to do a little time jump and say, oh, now Damien in continuity is maybe like 14, 15 now, and sort of play with that and see what they want to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it took a long time to go from 10 to 13 for Damien.
Did. That is absolutely true. But hey, so it's not all doom and gloom, but certainly there's shake-ups happening. Also oddly missing from the month is Harley Quinn. With no explanation. However, instead of the regular 2 issues of Harley Quinn, there is a Paul Dini 2-parter, which finishes up like one of his older books, I think.
It's finishing the backups.
The backups, there you go. So he's got a 2-issue thing in May instead of the regular book. I don't believe there was a proper reason given for it, but
it'll be back in full force, no doubt. Harley sells too well for them not to be one consistently.
I'm not thinking it's cancelled. It might be relaunched, maybe they'll do something like that. Or maybe
I can see that.
Or maybe they've just said, oh, we're doing these 2 Dini issues, so the regular team gets a month off to prep.
Maybe. I can see them being a new team, because obviously we had the team change a couple of months ago after, you know, they'd been on it for a while, and it's kind of just continued that status quo. I could see this being, okay, no, big shake-up, relaunch, new team. Let's, you know, give it a new push.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also missing, although not surprisingly in this case, because we knew they were kind of either just taking a break or full-on relaunching into either the same books with new teams or new books after No Justice, but both Titans and Teen Titans are both missing as well in this list. But that makes sense, because we know they're part of No Justice, and then they'll be relaunched in some way after that's done. So there you go. That makes a whole lot of sense. And then I had the Man of Steel thing, and of course the biggest thing, at least in my opinion, the biggest thing here is the creative change on Nightwing.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's the biggest.
I mean, it's debatable, but I felt the biggest to me because it's a bit more concrete in terms of like a big full change. So Humphries is not staying on the book. Benjamin Percy is going to be the new full-time writer on Nightwing starting in May, and it is switching to single shipping, so it'll be 1 issue a month. Which is maybe a sign, given the action and Superman seem to be doing that, and doing Nightwing. I feel like more of them will probably start to fall into that over the next couple of months. And when I say the next couple of months, I mean the next couple of months of solicits. So the exception maybe being Batman. Batman's done so well at double shipping, and it still sells so much with having 2 issues out every month. And King does such a good job having artists for each arc that I feel like that's probably safe from it. But everything else, I feel like, I
feel like Batman and then Detective, they might want to keep on double till they hit the 1,000.
Yeah, so they can alternate between them again weekly.
Yeah.
That maybe be the best. Because I'm wondering actually, because that Superman in Action going single, I wonder if there will be like a Supergirl book, and that'll be like one of the other week's like super book, if you will. Like that'll be treated as that week's book.
I think, you know, we're seeing all these cancellations here, and you know we're expecting, you know, relaunches, new books, whatever. With the shift to the monthly, I feel like, okay, this is where we've got room for a bunch of new books on the slate for.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. If they're already having a lot of new books, then for the readers to actually keep buying everything they're already buying, it makes sense to put some of them in single to make room for them. And in some cases, I think it'll work out well. Obviously, we had that really bad issue on Nightwing a few issues ago, which was hampered very much so by the fact that we had to have this other artist for most of the issue.
Yeah, and not to spoil my thoughts too much on this week's issue, but I think it's Chang I like on Nightwing, not Humphries.
Well, let's talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I just says I'm not too upset about this.
I don't know if I agree with that. I do like Humphries on Nightwing. However, I also like Percy. So so it's hard for me to feel too strongly about this, that one way or the other. Except to say that I was expecting more from Humphries, and I'm a little disappointed we're not getting more. But you know, I like Percy, and he's you know he seems to have big plans for him. So sure.
Nightwing. Who likes Nightwing, right?
Not Dan, did you?
True.
And Frick Gracious, let's kill off Nightwing.
Never forget.
No.
All right, so that's the news. That's all it takes. Unless there's something I missed. There was a lot of small stuff in the solicit, so I very well could have missed some tidbits.
JLA's ending as well.
But that makes sense, though, given.
Well, there's also solicits about what's going on in No Justice. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like it broke down what kind of the story was that we didn't know before. So, and how it involves Brainiac and why there's the 4 teams. I don't know if you saw that.
I'll be honest, I did not read the descriptions for the No Justice books.
Gotcha.
I didn't, though. I did notice Manipul is on art in some capacity on all 4 issues. The first one, it's just him. The others, he's sharing it with Marcus Toe.
No.
But
that's a good team up.
Yeah, it is. And I'm like, hey, you want to give me Manipul art? Then yeah, I'm gonna buy it.
Well, he's not been anything for a little while, so I guess he's been working away on this.
But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. It seems like this is the first event. Like I know Metal's an event, but this one feels like this has repercussions going forward. That would have just been the regular, DC doing what it does, but because of Rebirth and them not having any of these major crossover type things, now we're getting it now.
Yeah. So yeah.
A question: did anyone ever see any confirmation either way on what the case was with Batgirl? I saw some people saying that this will be the final issue of Batgirl.
I literally saw one person say it, and I never saw any sources or evidence
me
of
neither.
it.
Okay,
But
cool.
that one person, it got around the internet because I had a friend text me the same day that we were talking. He goes, "Did you hear about Batgirl?" And it was around the same time we were all talking about it. So,
because the first day I did actually was I went to Hope Larson's Twitter because I thought, well, she'll have mentioned it because every other creator who's lost a book this month has talked about it.
Yeah.
And there was no mention of it. I couldn't find any sources. I searched Google, there was nothing. Here's honestly what I think has happened. I think that some people have forgotten that Birds of Prey is called Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, and they're reading that as both books have been cancelled. I don't think
Batgirl, Birds of Prey got cancelled.
Yeah, quite possibly. I don't think it helps that this is the final issue of an arc for Batgirl.
No.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, because I understood Supergirl with Bendis coming in, but Batgirl getting canceled made 0 sense. So, that's what hit me. But we'll just see. I hope it's not, because this is the most I've been enjoying a Batgirl story.
No, I mean, I wasn't even going to bring it up because I legitimately just thought it was a mistake because I didn't see any sources.
I never saw it followed up on anywhere, so I just wanted to check because I wasn't sure. But yeah, if this is the consensus, we'll assume it's safe until we hear otherwise.
Yeah.
No, I like what Pete pointed out, that people forget that it's Batgirl and Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
so
I think that is probably
they were reading it like it was 2 separate titles instead of one.
That is my guess. That is what I think happened. So hey, but that's the news. So obviously a lot of big things coming, which means we're going to have more juicy news to talk about next month and the month after probably, because they'll be announcing what books are coming in June and July, and it should be some exciting stuff. Because we should be finding out what the new Justice League books are by next solicits, because No Justice ends at the end. It's 4 issues. It ends at the end of May. So
man, this was a crazy big week for comics news, wasn't it?
It was.
Across the industry, because it wasn't just DC. You had Image announcing a whole slate of new books for this year. You had Marvel's new nonsense.
Yeah, Marvel's yearly relaunch. This time it's called
eighth in 5 years.
It's called Marvel Fresh Start. Fresh Start.
But I'm getting Jason Aaron doing Avengers, so I don't care.
Here's the thing. I actually think they're hurting themselves by giving it a name, because when you actually looked at the solicits, there's only 3 or 4 books that are renumbering. It's not actually that many, but it feels like a bigger deal. I feel like
that Fresh Start's a little close to Rebirth,
Well, it's like Rebirth, except not as eloquent. It's just it's more descriptive.
It's more of, hey, this is what this is.
Yeah.
Other kind of big news is that Somni's leaving Marvel.
Ooh.
Captain America 700.
Hey, Somni. Hey.
Yeah.
Come to DC.
As much as I hope that's the case, because I know he likes drawing Superman. I have a suspicion he just wants to work with Wade still, and he'll just do some indie stuff with Wade.
Wade had been very frustrated with some going-ons at Marvel, so it wouldn't surprise me if he flies the coop.
Yeah, I can't remember the other artist's name, but there's another one that their contract's up as well. So we're working on Doctor Strange lately.
Yeah, I saw comments about how they announced fresh start and then within 2 days they lost a writer and 2 artists. It was a weird, like barrage of news over the short course of a couple of days. The Marvel stuff's kind of whatever. Here's just to compare them actually, because I've seen like comparisons. How is this different from what DC's doing right now? And it's not actually that different. It's just like creative changes were going to come. It was always going to happen during Rebirth at some point. And some people are saying Rebirth's done. Rebirth's not really done. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, yeah, they've taken the branding off the books and stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, the Rebirth like era, if you will, is still kind of going until at least Doomsday Clock's done. We're still in that kind of overall umbrella.
I always subscribe to Jeff Johns saying it was a 2-year story. We're coming up on 2 years, so it would have ran its course no matter what.
Yeah. So like creative changes were always going to come. To me, that's all this is we're shaking things up. We're putting people on because. To be fair, it's actually been kind of impressive how many people have stayed in books for almost 50 issues.
It's been very consistent.
Yeah. So it's good. After New 52, consistency is key.
Yeah,
I think.
And I think
they got that back down, and I mean, these stories are good, but they're not knocking them out the park every time. And I think that's what we need as weekly comic readers. You want consistency, and they're delivering. So.
Yeah, obviously you want some standouts, but yeah, as long as they're being consistent with what we like. And I think, again, just to compare DC and Marvel, and on that sense, just compare most of these runs getting to almost 50 issues before creative changes compared to what Marvel typically has got. I mean, unless
when's the last time it got to a 50th issue?
That's an excellent question. And outside of, say, Jason Aaron on Thor, and obviously Dan Slott on Spider-Man, who's been writing that for about a decade, it doesn't feel like anyone gets to the long runs anymore.
I don't know. And the longest Aaron made it on Thor was 25 issues, and then
in one go,
and then
in one go, and then he made it to about 20, and then they renumbered it to 700. So he's up to probably about 25 again. So, and it makes it sound like he's not going to be on Thor going forward. So
yeah, he's doing Avengers. Yeah, so
so it's kind of like.
I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh when Marvel they announced the whole fresh start. Like one of the first things they Avengers. That was the first thing they came out the gate with, understandably so. What do they follow that up with? Venom.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Gotta capitalize on Tom Hardy.
It's worth mentioning with the renumbering to #1, they're actually putting the original numbering on the book as well in smaller print. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not opposed to that. Like, I really would not be opposed to like Batman and Superman having the real number. Like, even if it's not in the front, just somewhere like inside in the credits page maybe.
Yeah. See, I don't feel like you need it every issue though. You get it like, okay, we got it for the 700th issue of Flash, for example. They referenced it in the issues like this is 700.
I like knowing these things. I like knowing that it's actually Batman 804 or whatever we're at. Like just that's an nerdy thing, but what do you want from me? But also cynically, I'm saying, oh, okay, they're having their cake and eating it too. See, we're keeping the original numbering, but issue one, folks.
Yeah.
Alright, between that cut, Connor did bring up if I was going to mention the DC movie news this week. I don't really feel like talking about it again. I did it in the movie news and it was depressing. I don't want to do it again. Needless to say, as a Batgirl fan, as a Joss Whedon fan, I was not pleased with the news of the week. He left the movie, that's the short version. Anyway, but let's talk about books.
Hey, you want some of your favorite cookies? Yeah. Do you want some of your favorite cookies with some of your favorite ice cream? Yeah. Oh, too bad you can't have it. That's basically what DC did to you.
Goddamn DC Films and Warner Brothers, they announced shit too soon to get us potentially hyped.
Okay, so all that said, I will take, as being a primary comics fan first, and then, the comic movies fan second, as long as they keep nailing the comics, I'll take some heartbreak on the movie front.
Sure. It was just, like, given how, when they announced that movie first, it was like, everything looked so dire for DC for the most part. Wonder Woman looked like it might be okay, but that hadn't come out yet, so we didn't really know.
Yeah.
Like this was like the one news that's like, okay, this actually could get me excited again. Like this name with this character could get me excited, and then so hey ho.
And I did see Gail Simone saying that she was thinking about what they'd do because so obviously she's done a lot of Batgirl, and then a few hours later she was like, actually, I think I know what to do. It's like, hey, they should hit me up. I'll do a script.
I like that.
Go for it, Gail. You jump on the.
Hey, if there's someone who is there, able to do it, you should take those resources.
Yeah. But hey, so let's talk about books. I want to dwell on the depressing news. So let's start with a new book. Obviously, we had the start of a new miniseries by Liam Sharp, who's writing that and drawing the art. That is The Brave and the Bold, Batman and Wonder Woman #1, which came out this week.
This needs to come with a pronunciation guide.
Do you know what? One of my first questions was, how do you pronounce this guy's name?
I have not a clue. Connor?
Let me have a look at it, because I was relatively confident when I was reading it.
You're the one with Irish blood, so you can...
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head.
You're talking about the guy that didn't realize that Siobhan was spelled like Seoban. So,
You mean me?
These Celtic... No, me.
Oh, you? I didn't know that either until I saw it one day, and I went, "What the hell's that name?" And then someone said Siobhan. I'm like, "That's how you spell Siobhan?"
Yeah, Connor's like, yeah, that's how you do it. Like, I was like, okay, well, you and your crazy letters, like,
He also
make weird sounds.
He gave me shit in the movie news a couple of weeks ago because I thought Saoirse Ronan's name was a bit hard to grasp at first.
Well, see, hers I can't read. Hers I have to think about that it's Saoirse, like inertia.
Yeah, I can't read her name either. It's nonsense.
I think this is just a case of where I grew up. There was a lot of Irish families. Yeah. So it was like these were common names. Neve.
So as I read this, I went and looked up a lot of these mythical figures. So that was cool. I appreciate Sharp for doing that. Granted, that was a couple days ago now, and I can't remember how to say any of them.
Yeah. Cernunos, I think.
Cernunos.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was Ternanog or Gog.
Ternanog. Now, I remember that because there was a kids show on in the afternoon called The Mystic Knights of Ternanog.
Ternanog.
I used to watch. It was like
Nog.
Whatever.
Ternanog.
I'll say it with my American, okay?
Tierna no give a shit. Right. So this is basically. So what was his name? Cernonius. Cernanon. He's the one ruling over the land of the fairies, where everyone they all kind of headed out, but they're all in unrest. They're all starting to riot, and he's like, "Damn it, I need help keeping the peace." So he comes to Wonder Woman, who's having sex with Steve, and he's a fertility god. So Steve freaks out a little bit, thinking, "We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to do that."
If you can, I love the horn guy. Is like, no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm the fertility god. There's nothing more I enjoy.
I know what you're doing here. It's cool.
Well, it was the phrase of I enjoy the sound of the beast of two backs. Where the sound of I forget what he said exactly, but it was the beast with two backs. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my god, okay, Sharp. You can keep writing, and if it's gonna be this entertaining, I'm in.
Yeah, continue your lover's trust with the rutting of the beast with two backs.
There it is. The rutting. Like...
There you go. So he comes for help, and she comes back with him. And basically, while he was gone, there was a murder. And they've basically just grabbed this young kid who they assume is guilty because he was with the body at the time. But Wonder Woman quite was like, "Hey, have you got evidence? Can we actually think about this before we just lynch him?"
What's evidence?
So that's set up part of the main plot of the book. The other plot, of course, is because Batman and Wonder Woman don't actually meet in this issue. Batman's just kind of on his own, and there's something weird going on in the Irish district of Gotham.
Yeah, who knew there was an Irish district in Gotham?
I feel like that's just all of a sudden because Sharp's writing a Celtic themed book.
You know what,
an Irish district.
I want a pub there that's like Bibbo's, but it's an Irish themed, and you can give that, like, you just think about the Irishman that decided to live in Gotham. That's not a dude you mess with.
Just have an O'Neill's in the middle of Gotham.
Yeah. Probably named Dennis O'Neill because they always name people after writers.
Oh.
Yeah,
I want this.
So basically, the thing that's going on in Gotham is that in this district, people have extreme lethargy where they're just kind of just standing and sauntering, not doing anything. Just
they're not terrorized. They're haunted, which I thought,
It was almost like stationary zombies. I was kind of getting that kind of vibe. We're just kind of standing still and not doing anything. And Batman's like, "What's happening here? What's going on? I need to investigate this. This is a bizarre crime."
He's trying to sneak up behind people like he does to Commissioner Gordon, and they just don't care. Like,
oh dear. So that's the book. But there was there was a lot of one of the this is just a personal pet peeve for me. I hate the font they always use, the lettering they always use for when they're doing this kind of stuff. You know, when Cernanon, did I say that right?
Yeah.
He, every time he's narrating, for example, he's always got this lettering. This, they're going for this old timey font, and I'm like, well, let's make it easier to read. That and the blocky stuff to do sometimes for robots. I'm like, just, you know what? I get what you're doing, but just make it easier to read, please.
I don't mind it.
I thought this was really easy. It's when it gets all cursive that I struggle.
Cursive's the worst. Don't get me wrong. Cursive is the worst.
This here, I didn't actually have any problem with. It's slightly different, but I didn't think it was difficult to read at all.
It's a pet peeve. It's not like I can say.
I'm used to reading this type in Thor. This is how when Thor talks, it's the same kind of font, so that doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
Not everybody's talking like that, so. But no, I really liked Sharp playing with the Celtic mythology and then bringing Wonder Woman into that, and how these guys are kind of a more primitive version of her gods, you know?
Yeah.
So they could still. It's easier for him to come in contact with her than it is for the Greek gods to come in contact with her. I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarity. Obviously, a lot of mythologies have a lot of similarities anyway. Yeah. But in between the two sides that are in TNO, the Janin and the Fomori, they're kind of similar to the gods and the Titans in some ways.
I know Connor said words there, but like I have to he's like the two sides, these and that. I'm like, alright, sure.
Yeah. So the first one you said, not the one
the Janin.
Yeah, that one. They were based off of kings, and they were kind of like the legends. They're kind of like Hercules, right? They earn a place there, and then the other ones are like the earth spirits.
Yeah, they're kind of like the old gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, which I like the Sharp kind of, because I'm not continuity hawk, but because here there's no continuity, but I want I want to know what's going on. I want the full context.
I know a good comparison for the Fomori is they're very similar to the Jotuns in Norse mythology, which obviously Matt you'll know all about those.
Or even
that's more your wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, because you had the Acer and the Vanir, and the Acer were like Odin and all them, and then you had the Vanir who were from Vanaheim, and they were more earthly spirits, and that's where Freya came from, and she's the fertility goddess. So yeah, it's it's no wonder that there's a lot of crossover between the Norse and the Celtic. Like there's sometimes mythology is just parallel thought amongst distant people.
Yeah, but when they're relatively close in terms of geography, there's a lot of actual just back and forth crossover and pollination.
Oh, I mean, you had Donner and Thor. I mean, they're the same guy, just one's from Germany, one's from Scandinavia, but the stories are the same. So, but just the inclusion of Batman, I think here he kind of felt like he was on the back burner a little.
Yeah, I can see where it's going. Wonder Woman's going to be like, okay, there's a crime. We need a detective.
Yeah.
Let's go get Batman. I can see it go in that direction. It's just in this issue, Batman himself feels a little superfluous.
Yeah, I like this issue. I didn't love it. Like I'm not as super into the mythology stuff here as I'm sure you two are.
Yeah, it's my sweet spot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not against it. It's not like It's not quite like how I feel about magic. Like Celtic mythology is a bit more interesting to me because there's a bit more stuff going on there. But because there's some beautiful imagery in here, like that they're climbing up the sort of the rock staircase that's just kind of floating.
Oh, when they're walking across the Giant's Causeway.
Is this a thing? Is this not? Yeah.
The Giant's Causeway is a real place in Northern Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's between Northern Ireland and England, right?
Yeah. And the legend is that there was two giants, one on either country, that wanted to fight each other.
Yep.
So they just threw rocks into the sea and then made a pathway so they could have at it.
I have literally never heard this before, so this is amazing.
These are my patrons, guys.
No, it's a huge tourist spot, Giant's Causeway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the story of Finn McCool.
He's one of the ones that threw the rocks in.
I love that story of Finn McCool. I wish we should get a comic of that. Sharp, if you're listening.
Yeah, get on it.
Obviously, the art's gorgeous. Pretty much start to finish.
Yeah. It's same Sharp art. I can always appreciate it, especially his Wonder Woman and Steve. It made me feel like I was reading Rucka again without, I mean, granted they're completely different styles of writing, but the imagery was there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the art was definitely the more selling point in the story. I think the story's fine. I think the story's kind of like serviceable. This sounds harsh, maybe, but it's it's good, right? But the art's the real kind of what's pushing it over the edge.
I'm gonna check out part 2.
enjoyable.
This isn't like
Issue 2's getting read.
It wasn't like Odyssey of the Amazons where I lost interest halfway through. This I'm definitely in, and I've never read Sharp. I don't know if this is the first time he's written something and drawn at the same time, but I'm liking his storytelling.
Yeah, I really quite like his Batman because obviously we've not really seen him do Batman much before, if at all. I'm not sure, but yeah, that panel where it's Batman's kind of getting the vision of all the stuff that's going on, and it goes back to us. The way he draws the cape and stuff looks so good.
I'm actually going to disagree with that.
Really?
I'm not a big fan of the wide shoulders, but then the cape goes thinner in the back.
Oh, I love it. I'm really open on how the cape is drawn. Just depending on the mood of the book.
Well, I like if you're an artist, you can put your own spin on it. So.
Look at me, I respect it because he's not the first artist to do this. This is definitely harkening back to the older styles of Batman. That particular is kind of like bulkier shoulders, but then the cape goes thin and goes out again. I've never really been a fan of that shape of It feels weird to talk about Batman's body that way, but it's just the way they draw him sometimes.
I just like that.
He doesn't like Batman with an hourglass figure. That's all he's saying.
Batman has a cape for every occasion. He's like, well, which one shall I wear today?
Because I don't mind because he's also got I don't mind the puffier like when it comes out of his suit at the front. It's got like a sort of puffier baggy sort of to it. I don't mind that. I actually think that's fine. It's just kind of the shape from the back. It's kind of a weird thing for me, but whatever.
The one that gets me is if they draw the ears too tall. That one always I'm just like there's a sweet spot where they can be too low or they can be too high. And
the ears are quite tall on this. They're not quite too tall, but they're taller than average.
Again, there's a sweet spot.
They've been generally too short in Rebirth, though, so I was kind of pleasantly happy to see some tall ears in this book.
When he strikes the silhouette, you want to see the ears there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the opposite being, and I enjoyed Batman's Shadow, but the ears in that were comically small. I was not.
Yes, they were.
I was not a fan of that.
It's when you go back to like the '90s where they're huge, where I'm like, okay, tone them down a bit.
Yeah, that was too much. Yeah, I agree, that was too much.
Or you would get the action figures with the tall thin ears, and they would break. And you're just like, oh great, no, my near mint Batman's no longer near mint. So.
To be honest, though, Matt, if they're in a situation where the ears could break, they're probably not near mint anyway.
Yeah, I know, but as a kid, I'm just kind of like, I can play with them and then put them back. Like, it's fine. I couldn't, clearly.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll move on. Speaking of Batman 41, Tom King writing, Mikel Janin on the art.
Boy.
Oh, it's a Poison Ivy focused issue. I wonder why Matt's excited.
I'm so glad I did not miss this week. I saved this for last on purpose. Man.
So, the basic gist of this story is Poison Ivy is taking over every single person on the planet, and Batman and Catwoman, Batman realising what's going on, gets out of bed, he punches Alfred out, and obviously at this point you're not entirely sure what's going on, you're kind of like, trying to read what's happening, like why is he punching Alfred? But you see Alfred...
I'm reading this going, he's finally broken.
Yeah, because Alfred had a batarang in his hand, you see that at the end, so you're like, okay, something was up, it wasn't just Alfred, there's something going on.
Right.
And... he gets to the inoculation and he puts it in Selena and then he puts it himself. So it's like, okay, right, so what's happening? And then they wake up again in outfit, and that's when Ivy starts talking through Alfred, and we kind of get the actual what's going on. She's taking over everyone. She actually speeds in the Flash to take a punch.
That's pretty great.
And honestly, my first thought when I looked at that panel is, damn, I want Janin on Flash now.
Yeah,
that was my first thought.
I was like, hey, it's fine. I got more flashes.
Yeah, more flashes to speed in.
Things I learned in this issue: both Selena and Bruce sleep just buck naked. Like,
yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I just things you don't think of. Like, I don't think what.
If I was as in as good shape as Bruce Wayne, I'd probably sleep butt ass naked as well.
I thought you were going to say, if I was in shape as Bruce, I'd never wear clothes.
I mean, actually, no, he doesn't, does he? Because he has some boxers on when he gets up. He doesn't stop to put those on.
Oh, okay, he's got boxers.
Okay, well there you go. I wasn't paying attention to that. I noticed when they got to the lab, Janin was going out of his way to cover up Selena, because
because Selena's definitely not her. She's come out in the bed sheets.
Yeah.
No, Bruce is just sat there.
And that's what made me pick up on it was like, and it's not bad. Like it's not a complaint. It's just something I noticed. Like the tables or the stuff that's in the way to cover her up.
It's after Bruce injects her.
Yeah.
And she falls down. It's her arms conveniently covering everything.
There, exactly. And I was like, oh man, oh look at that. They're just. I always imagine Bruce sleeps in a form of the bat suit just to be ready to go.
Well, to be fair, when they wake up the second time, they're both in costume.
Yeah. Well, so again, something happened in between the inoculation and.
Oh sure, yeah. Obviously, there's stuff here we're missing. So this sets up where the world's been taken over by Ivy. Hence the title, Everyone Loves Ivy, because there's that great double page spread of like even Superman and lots of random people and someone who's clearly Donald Trump saying I love you too. But so basically, you've got Batman and Catwoman having to team up to take down Ivy. Now, obviously, Ivy and Catwoman have a relationship, so that's obviously a bit more personal right away, which is kind of interesting. But no, so them having to like work together on their own is an interesting conceit. This issue is mostly set up. It's very intriguing set up. There's a lot of like, what's going on, until they kind of start to reveal it towards the end.
Even the last page where she's like, "How did she do it?" Or Catwoman tells Batman. And he's like, I don't know. Well, why did she do it? I don't know.
How do we stop it? I don't know.
And I love that's how it leaves it, because you're thinking this the whole time. You're like, is this a dream? Is this just her monologuing?
Well, that's the thing. Before they start like full out telling you, like when she starts monologuing and saying what's going on, like I was like, is the first part a dream? Like I'm trying to like suss it, or is Bruce going nuts? And it's the other two who are normal. Like what's happening? Yeah. But yeah, that's obviously the art's gorgeous.
It doesn't seem to be, does it?
What's that?
No.
I did dream. Everything seems to be happening.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah. By the second part of the issue, definitely. But I'm talking about up to that point. But this is the second time in King's Run. I feel like and this might just be me projecting, he might have an affinity for Ivy because he made her super badass in More Jokes and Riddles. Like that scene where she's talking to Riddler, and she takes out the Falcone's guys in the park. That was such a great scene. That was Janin as well. And now you have this where she's taken over the world. She says she has control of 7 billion people.
Yeah, and she mentions that she's done it through the green. I'm really waiting for someone to call in Swamp Thing to help fight her. I'm really waiting for that.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in Snyder's run, we got that in Rot World. Those two talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had them interact before, of course, and it's usually a fun little thing because obviously they're both, connected to the green.
Well, and Swamp Thing's kind of like, no, I kind of agree with her. She's a little crazy, but I don't.
Maybe this is too far even for him, though.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's where he gets pulled
in.
And
then obviously we did set him up earlier in this run, so
we did, yeah. We did.
Makes sense.
That was a fantastic issue as well. So no, obviously the art was gorgeous here. Like, every panel was a was a revelation.
As soon as you open it up, I'm just like, yep, there it is. Okay, I need this on my wall.
So here's a question, Matt. Which page were you how do you
blown away?
I was going to say splurging your load somewhere over. Was it either the full page spread of her face close up, or was it the double page spread of her sitting there on her throne? Which one was the more?
Was that one? So the first page, that was the first one that got me. You open it up and she's just regular, she's Pam, and as it goes, she becomes more and more Poison Ivy, and then you get that double page where she has control over everybody. I thought that was pretty cool too. That's just Janin doing with whatever. And then, like you said, the throne. Like, it's going to be hard to pick a panel right now. Because I thought I knew. And then it constantly changes. It's definitely from this book. I ain't even going to lie. I'm not going to do anybody the disservice.
Let's keep it in your pants till the end of the show, Matt, when you can properly splurge this out.
But, we all know we all love Janin art. This is the first time where I'm just like, I need to protect this issue. I need to lock it up, get it slabbed. That might be my favorite thing ever. So, yeah.
All right. I'm definitely intrigued as to where they're going with this.
Matt was as predictable as ever.
Yes.
Yeah. I sometimes, you always say I venture into self-parody. Sometimes I just can't help it.
I mean, he got this and the news that Chastain's probably going to be in it too in the same week. I mean, he's over there and he's red-headed heaven right now.
Yep.
No, I liked this issue quite a bit. I thought it was intriguing. It did have that dreamlike quality, even if it's not actually dreamlike, if that makes sense. Where you're trying to figure out what's going on.
It was a very quick read, quicker than I think I'm used to from Batman lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not that that's a bad thing. It was just like, oh, okay.
Well, no, but the art tells a lot of the story. You know.
Yeah, I'm okay with the quicker issues. I mean, if every issue is going to be quicker, it's a bit weirder. But like, I mean,
especially weeks like this,
pace,
where you're so loaded.
I wasn't a criticism. It was just something that I noticed.
Yeah, no. But no, obviously, so art's gorgeous. I'm intrigued by the story. I don't know if how many issues this arc is.
It's just the 2.
Is it just the 2? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a little disappointing. Just because I wanted Janin for at least a few more.
Yeah, but we'll see how he wraps this up next time then. But no, it was a really good issue. Which will take us out to Superman 41, James Robinson writing, Ed Bennett on art. This is, of course, the second part of a 2-parter that was very similar to that Green Lantern story from not too long ago, where this planet is about to be destroyed, kind of like Krypton, and Superman's trying to save them, but the alien race is like, no, we have our beliefs, we're going to go down with the planet, that's what we believe in. But he obviously met the scientist. It's like a planet of like seahorses, basically, is the best I can describe them. And this entire issue was basically this scientist. All the previous scientists were purged on the planet. He was the one who survived.
Including his wife.
Yeah, and he basically built a ship for his offspring that's in like a sort of containment thing, an embryo kind of stasis field. And
very much like a birthing matrix from Burns Van Steel.
And all I could feel like was, this is basically, I mean, it's on the nose. It's like, okay, this is just exactly like Superman. You've got this scientist sending his kids away.
Yeah. And so the first part, I feel this is very indicative of Robinson lately, like both with Wonder Woman and here, is the first half is kind of clumsy and it's super clunky, and you're like, okay, I get it. And then you get to the back section, and it's Superman having discussions with the people on the planet, and even the scientist, as he's dying from his wounds, and I think that's what really clicks. Superman saying that he's never going to lose hope, like, and because that's what drives him, is like, yeah, you can be all dire and be resigned to your fate, but as long as there's a glimmer of something better, that's all that really matters. And I think that nails Superman's character, no matter what era you're rating him in.
No, I agree. I think it's still clunky throughout. It's right up until it shuts up and the planet explodes.
Yeah.
But which is gorgeous, by the way. The art for that couple of pages is just it's pretty solid throughout. But the actual planet explosion is just incredible.
And I like when Ed Bennett draws Superman. I think he lends himself to the sci-fi. It's like, he catches flack for the cheesecake style stuff sometimes, but here where there's none of that, and it's Superman looking, imposing, and then like
very classic Superman, isn't it?
Yeah, and just all the little devices, like the stuff that Clark and John are wearing. It's all very subtle.
I kind of concur with the sentiment that once the planet blows up, it's really pretty. I like the conversation with John after that about how John feels guilty that he thought that was kind of pretty, even though it was like the death of a civilization. And he's like, oh yeah, sometimes I feel that too. You get kind of in awe of the natural, birth and death cycle. I mean, as sad as like suns exploding or planets exploding are, like, it's actually if you see one, it's like, whoa, that was like spectacular. It's the biggest fireworks show imaginable. So I like that.
Like why you watch Planet Earth, right? Like, you can be in the majesty of nature. Yeah. Well, not Pete.
No, because Pete has no soul, clearly. Yeah, and that's coming from me.
I got more of a soul than you, just by default. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, but yours is downloaded and programmed. It's different. But you're just in awe of nature, and sometimes ugly stuff happens there, and you want to divert your eyes, but that's just the natural.
Yeah, you just gotta watch it.
I mean, the issue overall, like, I think it was okay. I think it is good for Superman's character and John's like teachings of him. Like, I like the overall sentiment. I think as an issue as a whole, though, in terms of just being really on the nose with its messaging, I thought it was just fine.
It would have been perfect for an annual, instead of 2 issues.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's as a two-parter. Obviously, last issue we were comparing it a lot to that very recent Green Lantern story.
Mm-hmm.
This issue differentiated itself from that because it went a completely different route in the end. But then it was just like, okay, it's just Superman again.
Yeah.
So it kind of just went from one thing to another.
Yeah. It started off as the Green Lanterns issue, and then it turned into just a retelling of the Superman Krypton story.
Yeah.
So, it was fine though. Like I say, it was very pretty at the end. I don't regret reading it. I don't have any ill will towards it, but it's not something I'm going to probably find that memorable.
If Superman's going to teach a son a lesson, I'd rather have it be something like this than going to a museum and reading the plaques.
That's the second time he's made a dig at that two-parter.
Yeah. Matt's still bitter.
Yeah.
Oh, I am.
Oh, we all are, let's be honest.
We got the Bizarro story next, which is probably the last full proper arc we're getting from Tomasi recently.
Yeah. I'm excited for that though. We all know, at least me and Connor have a soft spot for Bizarro.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Red Hood might have ruined that for Connor. He might change his opinion.
No, because I've still got fond memories of especially the DCU series.
Yep.
That was
Heath Corson,
particularly great.
With Colin the Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
No, I'm looking forward to the Bizarro arc, and hopefully it sends off Tomasi and Gleason on a high note, because it's not been a high note
they
for a
need
while.
one, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. It'd be nice to think the last little story was,
I
back
think,
on form.
we know they're going into something else after. If it is detective or not, whatever it is, it would be really nice to go into it going, okay, they've still got it in them.
Well, probably just Tomasi, because I think Gleason's doing art on action still, at least for the first issue of it.
Oh, okay. I mean, I wasn't sure. 'Cause obviously, he's been credited as storyteller even when he hasn't been doing the art. So I wonder if he's still going to be working as a storyteller with Tomasi going forward.
It could be, but the rumor was just Tomasi, and then Gleason's actually been not solicited because it's started yet, but he was announced as the art on Action Comics.
I don't mind Tomasi writing Batman. Sometimes it's slow to start, but I end up really enjoying it. So, that's fine. I feel like once they injected Manchester Black into, Rebirth, it was just kind of weird.
It was all downhill from there, which was
it hasn't really rebounded since. Like, there's been a bright spot here and there, but yeah, since then it's been rough.
Yep. All right, that'll take us on to Justice League 39. Christopher Priest writing, Ian Churchill on the art. And, of course, we'll continue with the fan story. And, again, there's multiple things going on here. And Priest is hitting at some major ideas as he's going through this.
He's unloading the kitchen sink, because now we know that he knew he only had like 6 issues or so, right? And, man, he just ramped this one up.
Yeah,
I think it's funny that this is technically a part 1, but it's like as you say, we're continuing the fan stuff. It's like this doesn't feel like a part 1 in any way.
It does. No, it feels like when it's done, it'll be like 1 8 or 9 issue story, however long it's been since he started. So first, we'll address Jessica first, because obviously that was a big point of confusion last issue.
Still is.
It still is, yeah. It's not been cleared up yet. She remembers doing something, and she seems to regret doing something and feels weird about it. We do see Batman like on the team with the JLA like during the mission, but we never actually hear from Batman in this issue. We never hear him speak, I don't think.
No.
Mike.
Matt's going. I did notice just in the art, Batman's looking very blue this issue. Which is not a complaint. I'm not adverse to blue.
There's also other Batman assembling
at the courthouse, and obviously Simon references he's probably in the courthouse because he's a master of Victor. Cyborg. Yeah, I think that's what I probably did. I went to say Cyborg and I said Simon instead. But he says, because he's there and like, they're all giving like, we were expecting Superman, the leader of the Justice League. He's like, I am the leader of the Justice League. I'm Cyborg. Blah blah blah. But he's like he's like, oh, Batman probably is hearing these complaints. He's probably in the room right now because he's a master of disguise. And there's like one person that sort of lingers on to imply that is Bruce, but it never actually confirms it or anything like that. So they seem to be kind of playing with where is Bruce.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the person that they linger on that ends up being John, right?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Take it word for
But
it.
I took it as Pete said, like it's a master of disguise. So when you find out that it is John, that it's a double, because he too, being a shapeshifter.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, I didn't realize we saw who John was before he appeared.
Yeah, Cyborg talks to him.
Oh, right, okay. When I skimmed through it before we read it again, I kind of glossed over that page.
But it's fair because this is what I've noticed Priest does, even in Deathstroke. He throws so much at you so fast that even though this ships twice a month, you kind of forget story points because there's so much.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I completely forgot about that conversation with Jean when he's disguised. I remember him showing up with Jessica. Because I remember he's got that great panel at the bottom of the page where it's just like he's in like shadow and his eyes are kind of like lighting up and it's doing all that. So basically Martian Manhunter wants the Green Lanterns for a mission, so they go off with him, almost off page actually, because it's the next page and like Cyborg just mentioned, they're off planet with Jean, they're doing something. It's like okay.
Yeah, it feels like there's a plan going on there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels like something's happening, something they're not telling the reader about. I did like Jessie's awkwardness when she wakes up and she's like, "Oh God, what did I do?" And I'm pretty convinced that wasn't actually Bruce. That she kissed.
It's one of those courthouse Batman.
Yeah, or then again, like something must have come over her. Like I'm wondering, like maybe he gave her a drug or something to make her horny. I don't know. Like, but I feel like there's something going on here. It's not just as simple as she felt like kissing Batman and went for it.
Yeah, because we know her character. We know her history with anxiety and whatnot. Like that's not. Again, not trying to speak for those with anxiety. That just doesn't seem like somebody that that's something she would do.
Yeah.
It's a very confident move, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of this issue, we see that. I mean, the fan has also been a massive disguise. We see him as Aquaman early on. Aquaman's in the desert, dehydrating, and he shows up and kind of helps him out.
Still just ripping people. I love. Oh man, Aquaman's so much fun.
And he basically says, "Yeah, I heard all that conversation. Like, you're right. I'm a problem that can't be solved. Like, I know too much. I can never testify." Yeah. But at the end, we see that he can also disguise as a woman because he's the lawyer. This lawyer that we see in this issue, who's there to work with Cyborg, and Cyborg brings her up to the Watchtower, and then at the end we see that it's actually the fan. So I'm like, okay, so maybe it was the fan who was kissing Batman last issue. I don't know. But
maybe.
I mean, he heard all that conversation. I can't remember if Jess was in that scene, but I would stand to reason.
Yeah,
if she was. So that's on the kiss. Obviously, perhaps the more interesting stuff in this issue is the crisis that's going on. And the public reaction to how the Justice League intervene. The JLA have tracked this train that's derailed, and it's got a lot of chemicals and stuff on it, which, if left unattended, could actually cause something resembling a small nuclear explosion. So they're dealing with that, and they call in the rest of the Justice League to help. And basically, to the public, it looks like the Justice League just fly past the poor area and go straight to... And we kind of know they're going towards, because that's where the train is, and they're going to deal with the train.
Yeah.
They're dealing with the most dangerous aspect first. Like, you should. But to the people that are already trying to spin against the Justice League, because we've seen, they're causing all these problems from the beginning, and Congress speaking out against them, they're spinning that into, oh no, they're going past the south side of Chicago, where, I'm trying to put this delicately, not to upset, so it doesn't get spun. But we're poorer, more in need area, which it's not as in danger as the richer part,
That was just you stumbling over your words for whatever reason.
So I was trying to think of the words and I couldn't. So.
There's they fly past people and they're like, hey, why are they leaving us? Why are they not coming back and saving us? And then, we see like the social media posts of like, hey, I see how it is. They're going to save the rich people.
I thought that was really interesting that they actually used the Twitter logo.
I didn't even notice, did they?
It's the actual little blue bird, which is unusual for DC. Typically, they kind of just use their own knockoffs. Yeah.
I wonder maybe they've got a new deal in place where they could just use Twitter if they want to actually use it for something.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, usually they'll come up with something lame like Tweeter instead of Twitter.
Yeah, something like that. There's actually I like some of the probably my favorite panel in the book. Actually, there's a panel of Batman holding a child crying, and it's in the snow. Yeah. That's a really nice panel.
It's right at the end where he's kneeling.
Yeah, that's a really nice panel.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
But hey, someone in Chicago calls someone who knows Victor well enough to have his number. Calls him and is like, "Hey, they all left us back here," and Victor like, "I should be down there. I'm going down." And then that's when we find out the fan's been left alone in the Watchtower. So as always with Priest, there's probably just a little bit too much plot in the issue, but most of what's happening is interesting. There's stuff going on. He's hitting the big ideas, which are great. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like the JLA inclusion felt a bit like, oh yeah, these guys are a thing.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh yeah, Batman, come on, calling your side squad.
I think it's set because if I remember the solicits, there's a sort of Justice League versus JLA kind of thing coming up. I think this is just like planting them for that, like next issue or maybe the issue after.
It makes sense. It just felt really sudden that there was just like, big full page spread of here's the JLA. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they're in this.
Yeah, there wasn't really like a build up to it to suggest, oh, don't worry, there's someone else like taking care of this right now, and then it cut to them. That would maybe make more sense.
They just show up on the next page randomly. I was like, okay then.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair criticism. I think Priest is a good writer who stuffs too much into every issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, we feel that with Deathstroke as well, because we struggle to remember things. Hell, I forgot an entire conversation with Jean in this issue, and I was excited when I first read that. I'm like, oh, Jean's here! Oh.
Yeah.
And I forgot.
I think it's a case of Priest stuff, it will always read fantastically, as a one whole piece of work at the end. But, issue by issue, it's like, okay, there's a lot here to digest.
Yeah, I wonder maybe if he would be better doing, like, graphic novels instead. And he probably won't.
Maybe.
He probably won't because obviously, like, they want him to do monthly issues, but...
I think he'd be more suited for, like, a prestige format book.
Maybe.
Where you get the extra length.
Imagine him doing an Earth 1 where he's given carte blanche to do whatever. Like,
Yeah, if you think he's hitting on social issues and this, just give him carte blanche and a book like that, just to go nuts.
I did really like the inclusion of the tweets in this, though. I thought it gave it a nice sense of pace. That it kept a consistent through line, even though we're jumping around things.
Because it did it 2 or 3 times, and so it felt like it split it up nicely into chunks. You're kind of right there. I'll give it credit for that. There's things happening.
Yeah,
lots of things happening.
Art's pretty solid. Maybe not quite as good as the previous arc.
No, like I say, I really like that Batman panel. Otherwise, like there were some panels that I quite liked. There were some panels that I thought were a bit more shaky. It was kind of
a little bit hit or miss. Like the panel of Superman with the chains dragging the train looked a bit like okay, Superman looks a little bit off.
Yeah.
But overall, it's pretty solid.
There you go. That's Justice League. Obviously it's doing some interesting things, and we'll see how this. I'm really curious as to what the Green Lanterns and Jean are up to. I like how it actually gives a caption box or an editor's note saying "See Metal number 5 for the return of John Jones." Yeah. Like, okay. I mean, there's not really much of a story there. He just kind of showed up and was already on that planet. But yeah.
He was on Thanagar Prime, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been undercover. Where have you guys been?"
I love that. He's been missing for years, and he's like, "Oh, I've been undercover."
It's fine. Don't worry about it. I got it.
It's up there with Dude Bro Starro for no reason.
Sorry, can we call him Starbro from now on? Please?
Starbro, perfect.
There you go.
Starbro.
It's been bugging me. I'm like, no. This needs to be the thing.
All right.
Disappointed
Let's move on to Green Lanterns number 41. Tim Seeley writing, Barnaby Bagenda on the art. So superhuman trafficking, continuing with that. We get a little flashback at the start with Simon and Night Pilot's like date and like how why he kind of he's into her. But we've got so we've got them going with a criminal to this planet which has another name, but the end everyone just calls it Hellworld and
Hellhole
or Hellhole. There you go.
Yeah.
I know it was Vegas something because they at one point they said, "Oh, we'll get the vegan police," but it just looked like vegan police, and I just thought of Scott Pilgrim.
I can see that. So it's basically a planet that crime is kind of like the law. Like there's no like crime is the system, it's the economy. Like people like but honestly, the thing that maybe cracked me up most in this, well, was like a chase scene going on later on. There's like one of those big like hologram, like sort of like advertisements from like Blade Runner, like in the cities, like, hey, if you murder someone, call us to clean up the body, no questions asked, because murder should be clean. And that really cracked me up. I don't know. That's my sense of humor, I guess.
So I did some digging because this involves like a thread from the Omega Men.
Yeah, scraps the criminal they've got from Omega Men, and it makes it sounds like this big like church they're hinting at the end is also from Omega Men. That's what I'm getting from the story. But
yeah, and so we know that Seeley and King work well together, from the time on Grayson, and then King had written Omega Men. So I did some digging, and even the artist Bagenda did Omega Men. So this is almost like a reunion of sorts.
Yeah, folk actually told us that in the comments last week as well.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even mention that. That's because I don't look. I'm not gonna lie.
But no, I didn't want people to think you were taking credit for finding it. And obviously, I know you didn't look, but I'm just making sure. Like, no, people didn't mention that. Like, people told us that last week.
No, I had to find out for myself because it was driving me nuts why this feels familiar, but kind of not. So now it made me want to check out the Omega Men to see what all that was about. Because if it's set in this, where crime's all kind of the way that society is set up, and then you introduce Kyle Rayner into that, I think that's super interesting. And now you're throwing in the Green Lanterns even more.
Well,
to it.
Here's what I want to mention. So they go to this planet and they disguise themselves as these, like, I don't know, mercenaries, bounty hunters, whatever they are. And their names, so Jessica is disguised, and we're using the disguising technology here, by the way, so that's fully in now.
Just while we're on that, there's a throwaway line where Jessica says, I've only been making constructs like a really short time, and now I'm expected to do this. I'm like, it feels like you've been confident with your constructs for a while now. Like,
Well, I'm not liking this disguising tech just out of nowhere.
Either.
Because I feel like the Green Lantern energy should always be green. Even if you could disguise, you'd have a green twinge.
Even when when they make the bodies at the end for the other people, they're still bright green bodies. It's like you wanted them to look realistic. You should have done made them like disguised bodies, but no.
Yeah. So
I concur with that. I do like the panel though where the construct, she actually peeks through it and you can see her eyes, her real eyes through the construct. Actually, that's a funny little panel, but I generally concur. It's kind of like how I don't like when they make something that actually produces something. Like, a flamethrower actually produces a flame. Like, at least make it a green flame. But no, it's producing real fire. That bugs the shit out of me. But, hey, so yeah, anyway, back to the important part that I was getting to. So, Jessica is disguised as someone named Baba Fatish, and then Dorgus Brick is who Baz is disguised as. Yeah. So these are reject Star Wars names, is basically how I'm putting them. And yeah, so they try and pretend to be criminals, and they basically get cut out because someone swipes someone else on a dating app from across the universe.
They see Fatish, the real Fatish, tag herself. It's somewhere on a different planet.
So,
which I thought that was pretty funny, because in the age of social media, that's something that can happen.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You can cut in a lie because you're the real person's checking in. Yep. There's some fun stuff where just because they keep calling them the piggies because they're they're like cops, and it's like, this piggy's had enough, and she makes a giant like boar to chase them down. Cool. So yeah, there's some fun stuff. I like the action sequence with chasing. Like I say, I like the hologram adverts in the background and stuff. And they basically track them down and like, hey, we'll make you a deal. You make it look like we've killed some Green Lanterns, and we'll tell you the information you want, where you want to go. And that's the gist of the kind of what their issue is. But it's amusing. It's amusing all the same. And meanwhile, we see Night Pilot is shipped off to this church.
Yeah, Order of the Steed.
Order of the Steed. That's it right there. Yeah, and that's a big kind of cliffhanger. That's where she is. But the Lanterns seem to be on their way there too. So
yeah, this religious order seemed to be behind the
bad stuff.
Yeah, everything that we've been seeing for this arc.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this show quite a bit.
I'm enjoying it. I will say I am feeling like I'm suffering for not having read Omega Men.
And that's my long diatribe was I like this world, but I feel like it's very reliant on the Omega Men and having a small familiarity with it.
I think
Not that it's bad, because I still am liking what I'm reading, because it feels like this whole lived-in world. But yeah,
It's kind of just in the back of my mind when I'm reading it, going, I feel like I should have read that for some of this.
I'm not having too much of that problem. I feel like, yeah, I'm getting the sense that okay, a lot of this stuff would maybe be cooler if I knew what these characters
It
were.
was the same as that the arc on Nightwing, where it was like, okay, you probably should have read Grayson for this arc.
yeah.
Yeah. Although having someone who's not really read much of Grayson and has not read Omega Men, I had more of a problem with that Nightwing arc, I think, than I do this.
As at the moment, I agree that lent into it even more than this has, but I feel like this could go deeper into it.
Because I think so far, at least, this is treating it like it's assuming the audience probably don't know what these things are, and it's just kind of like, it's making it clear. Okay, so we're going to this planet. This is the rules. This church we're setting up as a villain.
Story was a de facto
Yeah.
Grayson finale.
Yeah. So that was way more kind of like.
I think it's curious that Seeley. I don't know if they're asking him to do this or he's doing it on his own, but he seems to like to tie it back into these other stories, which is cool. I mean, it adds to a greater continuity.
I think
it's probably something he's choosing. It's very Johns Morrison.
I also think the reason why he's intentionally making this one less alienating for people who have not read it is he's probably assuming that less people actually read Omega Men, and he's making sure it's more friendly to people who didn't read that.
I think it's a reasonable assumption because Omega Men obviously was popular, but I don't think it sold amazingly. Obviously, that was before King.
Oh yeah, I think Omega Men, if it came out now, would do insane numbers because King's kind of risen.
Yeah.
But
so now there's that and Vision that I have to order.
I see. I tried the first 2 issues of Omega Men, and I just couldn't do it.
I will go back and read it. Now I'm a King fan. I will do it, and I do want to read Vision as well. They're on the to read list.
Oh, I think that was one of the artists that Marvel lost, right? The artist from Vision.
Probably.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I mentioned at the start. I couldn't. I think it was that one.
There you go.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, I'm still having fun, and yeah, just one final point. I like how at one point when they're disguised, there's a joke about you two having sex, and it just makes Jess feel awkward because of the whole dating app thing from last issue. She's like, no, that's going on.
Which is still popping up in this issue. She's still staring at it, and Simon's like, hey, you found someone yet? Yeah,
I think it's going to be a running joke, and I think it will end at the end of the arc with her kind of admitting, and you'll just kind of laugh it off and be like, don't be silly, stop. I feel like it's going to end in a joke.
No, I will think that they'll go on a date just to be like, well, okay, it's saying that we should, so they'll do one date.
I still think they match because they're close because they're partners. Yeah. They're not. Yeah. It's not necessarily romantic. It could be platonic.
Yeah, I think no matter what, ultimately, I feel like the ending of this is going to be realizing that no, we are platonic. Let's not do any of this. At least that's my hope anyway. But it feels like it's playing it for a joke more than it is actually setting up a romantic thing. So hey, so let's move on to Nightwing 39. Sam Humphries writing, Jamal Campbell and Phil Jimenez on the art. Jamal Campbell was the same artist who did the start and end parts of the last flashback issue, which that was a good part of that issue in terms of the art. And again, it kind of mirrors what Chang's been doing. And then Jimenez does the flashback, which has much better art than the last flashback did. Because Jimenez is pretty good, so but obviously it's using that same idea where the flashback has a different artist. This flashback was inherently a lot more interesting than the last one, though, because the last one was just like, here's a story of when Robin was like with Batman.
So here's my thing: this is Humphries' 4th or 5th issue on Nightwing now.
5th.
Yeah, and we've had 2 flashbacks in 5 issues.
Extended flashbacks as well.
Yeah, and so I'm just like. Okay, I get it. We want this to be somebody from his past, but I feel like if maybe we'd space them out a little bit more.
Here's my thing, though. I don't think there's a problem with this issue. I think that only feels like a problem because we had the last one. The last one was the one that was meaningless.
Yeah,
that's what I disagree with that, though. I think this issue feels really overwritten compared to usual.
Oh no, I prefer this one to that mess of one.
Oh, this is better than that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but compared to the other issues, this is why I said earlier. I feel like Chang is having more of a say than maybe you might think. I know he's only credited as artist, but I'm wondering how much of it's more like, a storyteller in terms of maybe there's a bit more trust in his work as the series regular in terms of, okay, not as many caption boxes because he seems to be carrying it a lot more without, so much going on.
Well, here's the thing too is I feel like Humphries got ahead of himself. Like he got so excited to write Nightwing, and he's probably had the story in his head for years, right? Like he's a proclaimed Nightwing fan. That I think he kind of wrote himself into a box, and then instead of letting us slowly find out about the Judge, he kind of just made him this like super cool low-key villain, and then just amped it up the last 3 issues. So the first 2 was kind of like, oh, who is this guy drinking pineapple drinks and making people do whatever? And now here he had to do this extended explanation of things. So,
here's the thing. I actually kind of like what it does with his backstory in this. I do think it should have been more spread out. I feel like we get too much too quick. I do generally like the idea though that they tie it into him being the first judge of Bloodhaven, and like there's been this. This is the problem. We only learn in this issue for the first time about this. What was it? The sea monster, whatever they call it.
The Sea Butcher.
Sea Butcher. Yeah.
They talked about it last time because you had who's this Bullock? Svoboda. Reading to her daughter before she left, and she's like, "Well, I don't want the Sea Butcher to get me." Right?
I didn't recall that reference, but
yeah. But that's been it. And then they kind of hinted that it was Guppy's dad who was the actual Sea Butcher all those years. So that's cool. That's a cool part of the mystery. But here, just to be like, nope, it's the Judge. He's got these, wonky powers. He has to return to the sea. I was just like, man, this could have been cool going longer.
I think they're really great ideas throughout this issue, but I feel the execution's kind of really clunky and poor, which is why I feel like, okay, maybe Chang was doing a bit more in the storytelling and refining the way it was told.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it's that. I think the other possibility is he thought he may have had more issues.
Yep.
And then after a few, he was told, no, you've only got this much left, and he's like, oh shit. And he maybe had to condense it in a little bit, because I really feel like this was a lot of information crammed in. I feel like we need another issue building up this Sea Butcher, and then kind of like connect them together maybe later.
So you get that moment where you're like, oh crap, the Judge and the Sea Butcher are the same guy. Like,
Yeah, as it is, I'm like, no, okay, sure.
No.
Yeah.
But I like the Judge as a villain still. That doesn't change it. Like, I like how his entire origin is that he is. You can be seen from different perspectives. He's kind of a good guy.
Oh yeah,
he didn't let corruption go.
Yeah, his whole origin is that he was wrongly killed because he wouldn't let something go because of corruption. Like, the corrupt powers that be put him down for it, and then the sea brought him back to life and made him what he is.
It's an awesome urban legend. Yeah. Like, you could hear, and I like here that we get kind of the history of Bloodhaven, how it started off as this Dutch settlement, and then, what did they say, the English came in and made it or the Germans came in, made it a whaling town, and that's where it got its actual name of Bloodhaven, but he was part of the Dutch. It's almost like a Washington Irving story.
I also like how all the present day stuff it's like where he's doing this like he's got Nightwing tied up. It's like under like the forgotten part of the city under the water. I like that.
Yeah. So again, like I can't remember if it was your comment of saying it. Like the ideas are there, but the execution's just off.
Yeah.
So
I don't think things like the monks actually took him in, and he actually joined that church. I think that's something really fascinating that could have been explored to take this guy and go down that religious line, because that's why he sews his eyes shut, is because of that stuff.
He chooses to do that. Yeah. I think that should have been spread out at least over 2 issues. What we actually get in here, and I think. I like most of the individual things on their own, and I think it is a vastly superior issue to that last flashback issue. Because that one I outright hated. I just thought it was terrible. Yeah. This one, the
best thing we got out of that was Baby Ruthless.
Oh yeah, and this issue, I actually still kind of like it. I just think it's a bit more problematic because it is squeezing in too many things. But I wouldn't call this a bad issue by any means.
No, and I'm still not getting how he can compel people to if you're fighting corruption. It seems like, instead of actually fighting it, you're creating it to have something to destroy. I don't get how his powers work with that. You know, how he compels people.
We still may get that though. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily something that's off the table yet.
That's true.
So,
Just something I was not a fan of in the flashback. This might seem petty. I don't know.
From you, probably.
So it makes a point of saying, okay, he's not Nightwing yet. He's not become Nightwing, but he's not Robin either. He's kind of in between.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the whole point of him going off to Bloodhaven in college.
Right.
Yeah.
But he puts on his outfit, and it's basically the Nightwing suit.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
meant to be his Flying Grayson's outfit, which is what that disco suit was based on.
Well, it was just he called it just workout clothes in this.
Yeah,
so
that was probably just a slip, trying to be funny.
Yeah, maybe because where it was, it felt more like, you know what? I feel like this is a bit too close. It would have been better if they're calling it workout clothes, just do plain black, plain blue, or something, and because it feels like it undermines the reveal of when he steps out as Nightwing in the costume a little bit for me.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're a fan of Nightwing and you know that he left for college as Robin and came back to the new Teen Titans as Nightwing wearing this crazy getup, this is where that crazy getup came from. Like, he threw it on in a rush, and then it just kind of stuck.
I feel like more than anything, this is just meant to be like a little wink to his old outfit.
I get it. I just because obviously this is retconning in a story of actually this is something you forgot. I just don't like that.
Yeah,
personally.
That's the deep level stuff that I get a kick out of.
Yeah.
So it didn't bother me.
I accept this is kind of petty, this one, but it just was like, I like it being left alone.
Again, it's not the biggest problem. Like, I was loving the stuff that was going on with Guppy and his dad maybe being the Sea Butcher and his dad working with the judge, and that's why the judge had him killed, right? Like, he's dying, but I don't need Nightwing sniffing around and seeing what's going on, and that's why he did that. Because why else would he, each one of these moves has a motivation for the judge to take out Bloodhaven, to get his revenge. But having Guppy kill his dad really is an outlier. So I wanted that to tie into that. Maybe it still will, but I just felt like it kind of stumbled over all of that.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe a little bit unfair because I feel like you have to see the whole story before you can criticize that specifically.
No, I know, but I just... With the reveal of the Sea Butcher, again, like you said, maybe if there's more issues and you can spread it out, we can get that a little bit more. So... he was seeding it, but again, the execution's the problem.
I will say, getting that news this week of so he's off Nightwing in a few issues. That was before we read this, or at least for me.
It was for me,
you guys.
Yeah, it was because it was before. It was like Monday, Tuesday.
I couldn't remember what day it was. It was a while ago now. And after reading this, I'm like, okay, I kind of just want this to be done now because it feels like he's just like you say. Okay, there's too much plot in this issue, where it's like, okay, we've just kind of got to get through this now. It's not going to be what it could have been.
Yeah, being a fan of all of Percy's Green Arrow, right from New 52 onward, I'm very excited to see what he does in Bloodhaven with Nightwing and this cast at Seeley and now Humphries has kind of built up from Rebirth. That said, I kind of want to see what Humphries had planned on the same hand. So it's this weird, I'm excited, but I also don't want Humphries to be over too quick.
And I also wondered, what was Humphries moving on to then? Is he getting all DC book, or is that him done?
Well, I know he's got an Image book starting later in the year. That was part of that.
It feels like it was written just for Connor and James.
Hey, it's Jen Bartel on art, and her stuff is phenomenal. Check her out on Twitter. It's just gorgeous work.
Alright, well, I guess we'll move on then to Batwoman number 12, Margaret Bennett writing, Scott Godlewski on art. So Margaret Bennett's back. She actually had a month off last issue. We had Kay Perkins for that one, Professor Pig story. This took us obviously more back into the main thrust of things, because this was a flashback issue. I mean, the first and last page were Batwoman on a plane, flying because she found out, Sophia's got after, your sister. You might save your sister. You can come here, but
you gotta go home.
But all the issue was the story finally, kind of, because we've heard about how she ruined the Coriana because she had infected everything, and how did she leave? How did that relationship end? We never really got that story until now, which is kind of what this issue was. And we see that she actually brought up let's say virus,
a bacteria.
Bacteria from the seabed when she got hit, and she got it's infected the plants and the flowers, and that's why things were dying. And but basically, it all kind of amounted to Kate realizes what type of person Sophia is because Sophia has someone killed, even though she knows
that had nothing to do. Yeah, Sophia knows.
Yep.
That this guy had nothing to do with the sickness, but to protect Kate, she does. And I'm just reading this. I'm kind of over Sophia as a character. Like, well, I'm ready for this to be done to get on to other.
Yeah. Well, that's stuff. That was the thing. Not specifically Sophia, but Coriana as a whole, which I guess is the same thing because it's tied to Sophia. When I got like past the first page and it started to be a flashback, and then after a few more pages, when I realised this is probably not ending, this is probably the whole issue is the flashback, I was like, okay, I'm kind of bored of Coriana now. I'm ready to move on with other stories.
Like you had the twins. Like we haven't seen them in forever.
No.
I want to get back to that. Like that's what I was enjoying, and Julia Pennyworth and all of that stuff. And I just feel like they dropped it because this, is what Bennett might find more interesting, which is cool. I mean, I like this relationship of her feeling like she stayed on Coriana because it was just a swap out for her drinking. This was the new thing.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of how the flashback kind of ends. She wants to leave because she realizes she's just replacing her addiction with an addiction to Sophia, and she's like, "Well, I'm not doing that anymore." And then Sophia is immediately like, "Hey, Naive, have her killed."
Yeah, and I kind of just like, so wait, this one relationship because Kate wanted to get away from her is the whole reason she destroyed Coriana, turned it into this, massive corporate state. And sold out to those twins. Like, I'm not following, It's a weird line to go.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm confused by that. I'll just say I'm not that interested by that.
Well, I guess that's I just mean, when I say confused, I mean, why?
Yeah.
From what we had seeded, I kind of want a bigger reason why. Like, Kate had completely upended the mercenaries or something, and they turned on her. And she kind of was just like, well, I need to change who I am. I don't know. This is probably the least interesting of the options.
Yeah. No, it was. I mean, it wasn't a bad issue. It was just kind of like it's still focused on this story that feels like it probably should have been done a while ago. And the one consolation, of course, is that it feels like it is coming to an end because it feels like we're getting to the showdown in the next issue, maybe the next 2 issues, maybe total.
And I'm wondering if we will see her sister and the whole Wonderland thing, because I always like that. From that initial run.
I'm also wondering if the book changes any, depending if the changes in Detective Comics kind of like carry over in some way.
That's again, I'm much more interested in that version of Kate and her relationship with her dad, and what that means, what it means to be a soldier, I think, than this whole her lost year and whatnot. I don't know.
I mean, it was fun at first. Back at the start of the book, the first arc with Epting was like fine, but
because like you said, it's not exactly bad. I'm over it. Like I want to move on. I want Kate to do other stuff.
Yeah, no. Hopefully we actually get some confrontations next issue though, so that might actually be a lot more satisfying.
One more island. I don't want to see that island ever again. I feel like Arrow. I don't need to go there.
I could get that. Honestly, at this point though, yes, Sophia has lost all of her interest. I think I just don't care about her as a character. So hopefully they wrap this up relatively quickly, and we can move back on to Kate. With the other characters doing more interesting, because I really liked the last issue. Because the last issue, which was mainly focused on Professor Pig and her relationship with Julia, was way more fun than this.
I like how it was set up, and I know you have an aversion to James Bond, but I kind of liked that she was kind of the James Bond of the Bat family. Like her and Julia could go around the world and have these escapades, and she's perfect for that because she was a soldier. She's mobile, and she doesn't need to be in Gotham with the rest of them.
Yeah, and I also think if she does leave the team, like this would be like, she still has her own book, and that can be what that explains actually better why she is around, not in Gotham. She's gone over the place doing all these other missions, doing other things. So
exactly. So I like the potential of that, and so again, and that last issue was so much fun too. So coming off of that, going, oh, we're jumping right back in. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's what made this one feel worse, is that we had, like, I mean, sure, it ended with the, okay, so she has to go and find her sister now, but it was mostly this standalone story about Professor Pig and like finding Julia and like hunting, doing detective work. It was really fun. And then this issue was like, oh, back to all that Sophia crap. So,
Yep.
hey ho. But that's Batwoman number 12. So that'll take us on to Super Sons number 13. Peter J. Tomasi writing, Carlo Barberi on the art. And this was mostly an issue set at school with John's playing kickball and he's fighting with this girl, arguing if whether he's out or not. And
headshots are illegal. You can't do that in kickball.
They seem quite friendly though afterwards, so they've clearly got a repertoire going. Damien gets a helicopter to school every day, which John thinks is amazing, even though he can fly, which Damien points out, and he's like, yeah, no, but helicopter.
I like to think, that John's like, yeah, but I can't fly to school. Like, I got to keep a secret. You just have to come in and, the Tomasi just nails, like, even just back to the Batman and series, the relationship between these characters. He's really good at dynamics like this, and he's really nailed John and Damien.
Yeah. So the plot of this one is that Talia shows up. Obviously, there's some fun stuff at school, and they're kind of fighting about because Damien gets his class like extra homework because they all didn't bother reading the book they were supposed to read, and he did. So he just answered some questions, and because he's the only good student, he's like, "Well, you're going to have a test on Monday based on the first 200 pages of this book." But Damien's exempt; he doesn't have to do that because he already proved that he bothered.
Actually did the reading.
Yeah. And everyone gets pissed at him. But
which it's like, screw me for doing the work I was told to do. Like,
yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm on his side in this one. Yeah, I have to admit, maybe I'm being the nerd here, but I'm on his side.
Yeah.
But so Talia shows up.
Were those kids in school, right? Like,
it seems like it.
Yeah, I did my work. Don't get mad at me, y'all slackers.
But Talia shows up and is like, "I need your help, child. You're the best. I need the best for what I'm doing." And Talia show up's fine, but most of the fun stuff of this is the fact that John never really knew that much about all this. So he keeps asking questions. He's like, "Wait, so you actually were part of the League of Assassins? Did you actually kill people? Did you kill a lot of people?" And David's like, "Oh, that was a lifetime ago. You're 13."
Yeah, you're 13.
And they get to use their base, which we've not really seen their base since they got it that one issue. So I'm happy to see that again. And I'm happy with all the various. I think what the best part of this book is not typically the plot. The best part of this book is just John and Damien playing off of each other, and that is still not gotten old. So I'm happy there's more plans for Tomasi to do stuff with them, even if this book specifically is not around in a few months' time. Yeah. So
I agree.
So that's...
Although this will be one of those weird ones where you have all the issues. I was like, you remember when they had a Super Sons book? And then we'll just go on, because I definitely feel like whatever's going forward, he's gonna fold this into, whatever bigger story he's doing.
I think actually my guess, I'm not feeling super strong about this guess, but my guess would be because he says he's still writing these two. He says, "I've got more stuff planned with the boys. We know we're getting new Titans books." I'm wondering if they actually do pull the trigger on John joining like a younger Teen Titans team with Damien. And Tomasi's the writer. It's not like I'm not super strong on it, but
or even not like a World's Finest kind of book, where it's the Bat and Super families, and we just get to see them interact.
I'm just thinking like, how would he still be writing them? I mean, we're getting new Titans books, so it just kind of makes sense in my head. But I mean, I don't know. It's possible. So that was the bulk of the issue was in the school. But so but the big cliffhanger, of course, is that Talia has been hired to kill Lois Lane. So that's the big thing at the end. So they're going to have to go and try and stop the assassination of Lois Lane. And their dads are both away at a Justice League meeting of sorts.
Yeah. I also like how it brought up stuff from the past, like Leviathan, and how Talia's blood that drive money. And they even bring up the Silencer. Like there's a civil war going amongst the assassins. So that was pretty cool.
That was a nice little touch. I wasn't expecting something to reference one of those books so quickly, but I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." Yeah, because we saw Talia in that book, so it's nice that they actually brought that up. So it was a enjoyable issue. I had fun, like I usually do. So we'll move on to Aquaman number 33. Dan Abnett and Riccardo Federici on the art. This is the end of the Crown of Thorns, or bringing down the crown, or whatever it's called. So as much as this is meant to be the end of this arc, and then we'll start the actual taking on Wrath, honestly, everything from issue 25 feels like one big arc, really.
It does.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's a trilogy of arcs, if you will.
I think in particular, it felt like, to me at least, I know this is the end of the arc, and the next one is a new arc, but it felt like, okay, this is the issue before the last of the arc, and then go take down Wrath will be the last issue, almost.
But instead, we're going to have like a whole arc of taking down Wrath, which will be fine if they make it interesting.
As long as it's paced correctly, yeah.
So,
well, he still has the magic on his side. Those guys are still him. They took down the Crown, but they're still all out there.
Yeah, it was the Silent School that they stormed, because most of this issue is just an action issue, which made it a very quick read. Not a whole ton to talk about, really. But it's all action. They get in. The King Shark and the sort of the gangs of the Ninth Tribe, they do come in and help. Ultimately, it's kind of like a cavalry's here kind of moment. And they take down the Crown. And then Arthur swims Mira to the surface as quickly as possible because she needs to get to the surface to heal. Because the Crown's down, she will actually go back to being normal, but she needs to heal for a bit first. And that's the whole thing. And he's like, you're the Queen of Atlantis now.
Yeah. and that sets up her mini that we're getting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that went from when it was announced going like, I ain't reading that, to, oh man, I'm kind of excited.
Well,
yeah, because at the time it was like, why are we getting this? But now I see where it takes place in the story. This is, her waiting, it'll be impatient that she can't go back down and, start her duties and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and it'll wrap up her in their town,
Yeah.
And what she's doing. And I hope, we haven't seen Ocean Master since New 52. So I'm hoping this reintroduces him.
Well, that's the thing. When they announced the mini and it was Abnett writing, I was like, okay, this is going to tie in quite heavily to the main book, I imagine. Yeah. So here we see that, Aquaman's going to deal with Wrath, so Mira's on her own, and she's going to deal with the fact that she's going to become queen. So, clearly they've set up here, I guess, sort of two stories that are going to tangentially go side by side. So obviously we'll be trying the mini. I imagine it'll probably be fine, given that it's Abnett again.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to depend on the art, because again, this series has been elevated by the art. I know, Titans I dropped, but a big problem was the art for that.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's someone good on Mirror. I can't remember who it was.
Not off the top of my head.
It's a while ago now.
I don't know if it keeps the because even before 25, you had the man. What were those creatures called? Pete.
Oh, the Deadwater, was it?
Yeah, Deadwater.
Yeah.
You had that Deadwater arc with the Aquamarines. That was a whole lot of fun. And then you had this, which is completely reimagined Aquaman while not not changing it that much. So if he can do that with Mera, and it's even just a
which, by the way, that's next week, the first issue of that. So they timed this really nicely. It goes into the next issue next week. So
then I'm okay. My main problem with Titans, with Abnett, just felt like he was spinning his wheels. Here it feels like this is something that he's had planned.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I think Titans, the problem that's become more clear as time's went on, and we've seen because immediately Williamson got Wally, and it started to feel like, oh, here things are happening.
Yeah.
So. I don't mind my time that I spent with Titans, but it definitely feels like it was a little wheel spinner.
Yeah, and here it's been progressively moving forward. Even that Nemo stuff with Black Manta, I was kind of like, But since that ended, this has really been going forward.
Yeah, since the mid-teens, this has actually been a really enjoyable book.
I think it picked up around there and it got better, but it still felt like, okay, these are just some fun arcs. It was 25 where it was like, okay, we have a direction now.
Yeah. And weirdly, it started to feel like Game of Thrones, just because you were dealing with different groups. Like the Widowhood became more prominent. You had the Ninth Tribe, the lower classes, and then Wrath and his whole identity.
I think that word you just used there, directions, were a good way to put it. It suddenly felt like it had a name. And that's been good. Obviously, the art was pretty good. Federici's obviously not as amazing as Cedric, but keeping the style, keeping the sort of tone.
A competent replacement.
Yeah.
Certainly, if this was the regular artist now for years of Aquaman comics, I would not be complaining.
Oh no, not at all.
No.
But like Pete's been saying since Cedric left or started working on something else, whatever that is. He's kept the color, the character designs. So it was really seamless. going to Federici.
Like I said, I feel like Sejic has set up the style of Aquaman for years now. In the same way that when the New 52 started and Johns and stuff, that stuff continued right up until issue 25 of this. That was the standard style for Aquaman. I feel like this will probably last as the standard style for a while now.
Even just giving him the long hair and the beard was like, that was the change at the same time.
And the denizens of Atlantis calling him the Aquaman. Like that's a surface name. It was always King Arthur down there, that's weird when you think about that. But
I think I do like the idea of him being like the Batman of Atlantis down there. Now, obviously, you don't want to just do Batman stories, but I do like the idea of him being a vigilante down there. It's kind of an interesting twist on it.
I'm intrigued to see his role in the new system. Obviously, you have Mirror's Queen. So will he be? He'll presumably get some official position. Will he be some sort of enforcer? Head of like security, whatever Atlantis has.
Or does it give him like more time to spend on the surface? Do we get more surface stories with Aquaman?
That's how I took that, because when they were telling that Mirror would have to go down there and rule, that means they can't have their lighthouse life, but that kind of leaves them with nothing to do. So I thought, well, he can go do the superhero stuff. That's why he's palling around with the Justice League in Priest's run. He doesn't have to worry about this stuff anymore.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But so that was Aquaman 33, which I'll take us on to Damage number 2, actually, which is the last book of the week. I did read Damage number 2. I don't think anyone else did.
So is it so bad that DC has a Hulk? Like, does it?
I mean, my opinion is basically unchanged from issue 1, and that it's fine. The art's good. Although Daniel's not staying past issue 4, so take that for what it's worth. There's a bit more character in this one. You get this idea that when he's not, when Ethan's not damaged, it's like another personality in his head talking to him, like saying, "Oh, like everyone's betraying you. I'm done with this world."
So he can become damaged.
Yeah,
it's manipulating him.
Yeah, but the opposite's true as well. When he's damaged, Ethan's in there talking to Damage, so they're kind of playing with that a little bit. Most of the issue, of course, is like the action sequences. Suicide Squad try to like take him out. There's one fun moment where Giganta picks him up in her hand, and then Damage just bursts through the back of her hand. He just like fights through it.
Wow.
And then Giganta's just in pain because she's got a hole in her hand. And then the end of the issue, Wonder Woman shows up, and she's like, "I'll take down this monster." So Wonder Woman's there.
Well, I mean, Tony Daniel, Wonder Woman. I always enjoyed that.
Oh yeah,
it
looks good.
So that's not bad.
Looks great.
Yeah, man.
But there's some fun beats. Like people think he's homeless, so like someone gives him a coffee, and he's like, "Oh, coffee, great." He goes to drink his coffee, and he's sitting there, and people start throwing money in his coffee, even though he's trying to drink it. And there's like, that's kind of amusing.
That's funny.
Funny thing. There's a knockoff McDonald's. He gets a burger because he's not had a burger in a while. With his change, and that was basically the issue.
This kind of sounds still really mediocre.
Yeah, as I say, it's fine. Like there's no like driving force. It doesn't really feel like to use the word you used in Aquaman. It doesn't really feel there's a big direction yet.
It doesn't sound offensively bad. It just sounds like okay, stuff's happening.
Kind of feels like I thought it was going to be with this new age of heroes, or when it was Dark Matter. It was like, oh, so this is basically just going to be an artist showcase. So the stories might just be mediocre. Then some might shine through, but this is going to be a showcase for art, and this is what it sounds like it was. Like,
yeah, and I think with more books starting, I'll happily say I'm probably not going to read anything else of this. Like I'm probably done, but it's not terrible. Like, if you're enjoying it, then great. Like it's fine. Like the art's good, but I feel like this is. I will be shocked if this makes it past issue 12, and I'll even be a little surprised if it makes it to that.
I think the thing is, like with a book like this, is there's not enough there for me. It's fine. It wasn't a bad read, but when there's so much else out, why am I spending time and money on that? What's it offer to me that I can't get anywhere else?
Doesn't make sense. I'm actually oddly looking forward to Silencer issue 2 next week, but I didn't expect that.
What I was gonna say is, it's kind of weird that out of all of these, Silencer's the one that's kind of stuck the best.
Yeah.
And of course I'm removing the Terrifics from that because that doesn't feel like it's even part of this Dark Matter. They just put it there to be the flagship, as opposed to Metal. But yeah, that's weird to me. I didn't read Sideways last week.
Oh no,
I ran out of time.
It was all right. Better than Damage.
Better than Damage.
Not as good as Silencer, in my opinion, anyway.
Not better art, but not better in setting
not
up
a better
story.
story. Yeah.
So it's weird to me. Like Silencer's the one that's sticking out.
I'm definitely read issue 2 of Sideways though. I think there's potential in Sideways.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because Sideways, it was like, okay, here's a bunch of exposition, here's what it is, and now the story's just going to start right at the end of the issue.
Yeah, so there's potential in Sideways, but we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I mean, we could read Dark next issue, and it'll just be, not go anywhere. But no, so Damage, it's fine. I don't think it's going to last that long though, and I don't think there's a whole lot to keep you there. If you like this week, I had like 8, 9, 10 other books. Damage was not the priority. And the reason why I picked this over Batman the Signal was just because I knew this would be the quicker read. Batman the Signal I knew was going to be wordy, and had a lot of books. So unfortunately, that got the shaft. Had that been last week, like it was last month, because that was a week 1 last month, I would have fit it in, but it didn't happen this week. So apologies if anyone was looking forward to my thoughts on that. But hey ho. That wraps up the books, so we can get to our favourites of the week. We pick our best panel/moment, we pick our best cover, we pick our best art, and we pick our top 5 books of the week. We'll start with panel/moment. Matt, since you have yours basically nailed down, you can jump in with that.
Yeah, so it's definitely, I'm thumbing back through right now. It's the first page of Batman with Ivy. It's to open on that image where she's completely unassuming. She's just in a green dress, and it's the wind's flowing through her hair. And it starts those vines that creep throughout the rest of the issue. Like, it's some smart single-panel storytelling. And it just looks great. Like, again, I need that image on my wall. So
that is fair. I'm going with Batman. This is probably not maybe the one you'd expect me to go with, but I'm actually going to go with the Flash Punch panel because
you sadistic bastard.
Like it's really, like obviously the art's fantastic, but I just love the joke so much. Like she's controlling everyone, so she speeds in a flash to take a punch. I think that's really funny. So you know what? I'm giving it points.
I just also love that Bruce, like, Alfred's the man that raised him, right? It's practically his father. But he will not hesitate to drop a dude. Like, zero hesitation.
Bruce is also trained in how to give the right amount of force, so it's not going to do any lasting damage.
I get that, but this is, I mean, probably his closest person. Like Selena's getting there, but like when there's familial love, it is to Alfred. So the fact there's not even a hesitation. Like I understand that with Nightwing when he punched him twice. We saw that twice, once in Nightwing and once in Batman.
It was one punch though.
Yeah.
We just saw the event from both perspectives in each book.
Exactly. So when we saw that, we got why there was no hesitation. Here though, it's just kind of like, oh no, I mean, yeah, he had a battering in his hand, but still, he has dropped an old man.
Do you know, I saw people giving King shit for this on Twitter, and he was defending himself. Saying, no. There's reasons. You got to look at it. Why is Batman, especially the second punch? Why is Batman going for the second punch? What's he getting out of this? What's he learning? It's just like okay. Send some seeds.
I just like the idea that Bruce is not a morning person. He wakes up and wants to punch because I relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn right.
Matt likes to think he's more like Superman, but he's secretly a lot more like Bruce Wayne.
You mean a stilted juvenile that has rage issues? Yes.
Yeah, no. There you go. Carlo, what's your panel/moment?
Well, I was fully expecting Matt to pick one of the other Ivy panels, and I was going to go with that one, but I don't want to just take the same panel as Matt, because, variety.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
the throne's pretty great too.
Well, no, because that was the standout from Batman for me. So instead, I'm going to jump over. I'm going to go to Batman Wonder Woman, and it's when they're walking across the Giant's Causeway. I thought that was a fantastic page.
All right, so best cover then. I'll jump. I'm going with Aquaman actually for this one. I really like the Aquaman cover.
That's good.
Really pretty. Connor.
I'm going with the Aquaman variant.
Oh, okay.
which I had a real nice style to it.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. The orange and the blues.
I'm going to check it right now. I can't remember.
Don't get me wrong, the standard Aquaman cover is really nice as well, but the variant takes it for me.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I see why you like that. It's a bit too. I prefer the regular one, but yeah, that's nice. A bit more stylized.
It is.
Matt.
Batman. I'm full going.
Yeah, there's an Ivy thing on it.
Shot.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so best art of the week, Connor.
I'm sure somewhat controversial, but I'm giving it to Sharp.
I don't know, Matt.
So this is a tougher week because we have Janin, right? He's drawn Ivy, but we also got Federici for Aquaman. Then you have Sharp for Brave and the Bold, so that's fantastic. And then even the art, I like Bennett's art in Superman. It's not as strong as the others, but it's still pretty good.
I want give a shout out to Super Sons as well. I thought Super Sons had really solid art.
Super Sons too, but I'm just gonna go for it, and it's Batman. It's Janin.
I'm going to be boring and say Batman too. Janin takes the win.
See, that's what I was expecting as the go-to answer, which is why I thought Sharp is the somehow the more controversial answer.
So this week I was like, man, I don't know what I'm picking, because of course I'd say Batman for last, knowing it was Jan and Ivy, and then as soon as I opened, I was like, no, well, this question's over.
It was a tough fight.
All right, so top 5 books of the week. It's Connor.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna open with Batman, then Brave and the Bold, then Aquaman, Justice League, Superman. Yeah.
Matt.
So mine's a little bit different, but it's Batman, but then it's Aquaman, and then Brave and the Bold, and then Superman and Super Sons.
Right. I'm going Batman as well at number 1, so we got a unanimous pick.
Ding.
Hey. And then number 2. This is a weird week actually. I feel like after number 1, there's a lot of stuff that's.
So it's
kind of jumbled.
It's a lot more even, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think for number 2, I'm actually going with Super Sons. I had a lot of fun with that issue. And then. and then I'll say Aquaman, Green Lanterns, and Justice League, I think, at number 5. I think that's where I'm landing on. But yeah, so we kind of weird week where after Batman, everything was kind of around a similar kind of feeling for me until a couple of weaker ones at the end. But that's there you go. So that is that's a show. That takes us on to telling you what's coming up next week. Unfortunately, originally Doomsday Clock number 4 was meant to be next week, but that ain't happening. So Connor will be on the show, obviously, since Doomsday Clock's not there.
Yeah, let's see if I'm there next month. I obviously every intention to be, but somehow I've got a horrible suspicion the universe is going to just throw something at me that week.
Yeah, the asteroid hitting straight for Connor's location. That's the
Wouldn't bloody
evacuate.
surprise me now, my luck.
But yeah, so coming next week, so week 4 obviously, we have Detective Comics 975, Action Comics 998, Wonder Woman 41, The Flash 41, Batgirl number 20, Teen Titans number 17. We of course also have issue 1 of the Terrifics, the new Lemire book. Very exciting. We have The Silencer in issue 2. And we have Mira, Queen of Atlantis number 1. We did originally have Batman, Creature of the Night number 3, but that got delayed by I think a month or something like that. So that's not coming for a little while yet. Also out next week, but we will not be covering Raven, Daughter of Darkness 2, Batman Beyond 17, The Demon Hell is Earth number 4. Are you guys doing Hal Jordan? Are you guys both caught up?
I'm like one issue behind, but I haven't read the last week's issue. But other than that,
Connor.
So. But would you guys maybe be talking about it next week?
If Matt wants to talk about it,
I mean, we can. It actually works pretty well hand in hand with what's going on in action. So
okay, I read the first part of the Zod stuff. I haven't read the second part yet. So yeah, I mean, sure.
I mean, it's been a while since you've talked about it, so maybe it's worth at least checking in next week and
Yeah.
All right, so Hal Jordan might get talked about. Then Hellblazer 19's out as well as Justice League of America number 25. So that's what's coming next week. From the DC Comics Connor's checking for mistakes. I know he is.
Oh, just check.
So you hit them all.
Mistakes, just seeing if anything had missed, because these things change.
They do. Hey, that's not your logic when you actually correct me, though. When you correct me, you just bask in the fact that I was wrong about something.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm going to take that when I can.
Yeah.
When you're right, I'll be like, it's fine. Nothing's changed this week.
All right, so that's what's coming next week, and that wraps up the show. Episode 92 of Comics from the Multiverse. Of course, remember, April coming, we have our 100th episode Spectacular, which will follow a special one-off for Just Action Comics 1000. So those are both happening back-to-back in April. All of that, though, let us know what you thought of this week's books, of course, which you can do in the comments. You can get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Of course, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff, rate us, and all these other things. If you want to support the show and support the channel as a whole, you can head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a link in the description. Of course, the monthly episode that me and Connor do for patrons is coming next week. We'll be doing Jeff Johns' Teen Titans Volume 1, that first big, thick trade that came out last year.
It'll be early next week, so it'll still be within February.
Yeah, we're just squeezing it in before the end of the month. But, I mean, admittedly, this is partly our fault as well, but admittedly, it's because the vote went right up till last week. That's why it's later in the month. But
that's
you guys have a lot to jam in. I just started that too. So,
but, yeah, so that's coming, and I guess everything I've got to plug, unless I'm forgetting something. I don't think so. So there you go. That has been Comics from the Multiverse. Thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and always remember, guys, to never get lost in the Speed Force.
I didn't forget about Nathaniel Dusk. He's still my hero.